gonna start. We're gonna start going through the process of meeting. The meeting right now is scheduled to be about 4 hours, so we're gonna try to move it along. Okay. I see Jacob as well. All right. So I will be calling this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. Jared Stoffes. Jared, you're muted. Your mic is muted.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm here.
Jimmy Tarlo.
Here.
Okay, and Valerie is being excused for today. If she joins, she'll try to join, but right now she's being excused for personal reasons. Okay. All right. So there's 3 of us. We're gonna start with
Luke's here.
Luke's here. Yeah.
Hi, Luke. How are you? So
Good.
there's.
How are you?
All right. So there's 4 of us, enough for us to call a meeting to order, right? So we did the call to order. Item number 2 be review of the agenda. Vice Mayor Stoffes will read through the agenda. If you guys were not here yet, I will be requesting for rent stabilization to be moved up in the list of the agenda possibly. So Jared, can you do a run through of the agenda, please?
Yep. Agenda of the work session of Mayor and City Council, City of Mount Rainier, virtual work session Tuesday, November 15th, 2022, 7 p.m. Number 1, call to order. Number 2, review of the agenda. Number 3, presentation discussion on the Arundel Road Green Street project. Number 4, the Greenwill Consulting Group report on federal and state earmark options. Number 5, update and discussion on Spring Park. Number 6, presentation discussion on the Administrative Services Department first quarter report. Number 7, presentation discussion on the Human Resources Department first quarter report. Number 8, discussions on the application C for the Police Review and Advisory Board. Number 9, update and discussion on Potts Hall. Number 10, discussion on housing stability. Number 11, discussion on animal ordinance for the city. Number 12, ARPA discussion update. Number 24. Number 13, Mayor Celina Benitez proclamations for November 2022. Number 14, budget amendment discussion. Number 15, presentation of minutes. Number 16, adjournment.
Thank you so much. Melissa, can you, because right now, housing stabilization is number 10. Move it up a little bit. After Greenville presentation, what do we have? Oh, wow. Okay. So do me a favor after the presentations, after the HR presentation, go ahead and can you guys agree to move it up even if it's 2 spots up? Council, can we move it up number 10 to number 8?
I'm in agreement with that.
Thank you, Jared. Anybody not in agreement with that? Hearing none, number 10 will now be number 8. We'll just swipe them. Okay, Melissa?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you so much. I did give Melissa the heads up that that I was thinking of asking you guys that, so that way she wasn't too surprised. Okay. All right, so welcome to our meeting and this rainy November. So thank you guys for joining us. The meeting is we have various topics in the meeting that are very important. Usually we address, council goes up, we have the presentation, council goes around asking questions, then we open the floor up to residents. If you wish to speak, you could type your name on the chat once the subject comes up, so that way we'll call you in order, and then you say name, last name, and block and street number where you live. And you have 3 minutes to speak if you're speaking individually. If you're speaking on behalf of a group, you have 5 minutes. But if you do the 5 minutes, everybody in your group, it's basically ceding their time to you. All right. So moving on to the next item on the agenda. So Anything you guys need to remove from the agenda, council, or we're good? I need to see thumbs up or shaking your head, whichever one you.
Let's see how far we get, and then we'll see where we're at to the rest of the points. That's my feel.
All right, so it is a standing. If you guys want to go back and take something out, like, let me know. All right, so moving on to presentation discussion on the Arundel Road Green Street project, scheduled for 25 minutes. Mayor and Council will review a presentation from Mr. Frank Galosi and Mr. Kadisha Jami from the Department of Environment of Prince George's County Government. So, Mr. Galosi and Ms. Yami, the floor is yours.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And that was Gadasa, Yami, so pretty close. I was hoping that Melissa, could you advance our PowerPoint slides one by one? When would you be able to control the screen to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Or you could give us control and we could advance if you want.
Which one are you going with, Melissa? Giving them the control,
Yes,
or you do the slides?
I just made Mr. Pelosi the host.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you. And Melissa, let us know when we are on the 10-minute mark. So that way, actually 9, so that way they don't have about a minute to wrap up before we open up the floor for questions, okay?
Okay, but does that mean that will you bring up the PowerPoint and we
can.
can bring it up?
Yeah,
Okay.
you should. She may be the host.
She gave you host duties, so therefore you should be able to do it.
So from our end, I would just share screen.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, let me just find that real quick. I have it, Yami sent it this evening. And being a dumb engineer, take me just a second here. Okay, and let me get back to.
I can share if you want, Frank.
I think I have it here already, Yami.
Okay, good.
Just share it. Where is the share screen? Okay. Okay, can everybody see that okay?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, and I'll give a brief introduction and then let Yami take over from here. But the first slide is just our introductory, our DOE logo. Through our director Crooms, we didn't put a lot of names on here, but we'll share this slide presentation with our director's office probably tomorrow, just so they can know of it. And we also give our director advance notice. The DOE does a very good job of keeping the director's office apprised of all the community outreach that gets done by the different divisions. So my name is Frank Galassi. I'm the section head of the Stormwater Management Division. We know some of the folks. I've recognized Luke's name, and obviously we work with Kamali. Yami is here to do the presentation. I'll advance the slides for him. We wanted to just put the name out of our design consultant. They had prepared the concept way back in 2016. And then, as the community knows, the levee project was the focus for quite a few years to finish up the design. We did a presentation on a concept level way back in 2016 at the Nature Center, in your community. And then just from memory, the construction started on the levee and the 34th Street Bridge replacement. That was in the spring of 2019. And they actually just wrapped it up in the spring of 2022. So literally about 3 years for those two major infrastructure pieces. I brought this up as a quick topic because I wanted to let the community know that that project was a major CIP by our sister agency, DPW&T. But in the background now, now we can proceed. We've done final topo and we know where the splash pad is and all that. We are still engaged with that project in the way of certifications. Our agency is the one that did the construction management effort with DPW&T. And now we are doing the FEMA certifications for the levee itself. That's a process that we'll go through with FEMA based upon the final as-builts that were just, they're pretty much received here in the month of October. We haven't seen them yet, but we know that Public Works has them. We're also working with MDE because the levee itself is considered to be a DAM structure. And it has to have an emergency action plan, which is called an EAP, and it has to be certified as well. So we'll be working through FEMA and MDE. We'll also do a FEMA letter of map revision, which is called LOMAR. We'll do that through our consultant, and that'll be handled through our Department of Sustainability Division, which you may know Don Hawkins that heads up that. So there'll be a few other folks besides myself and Yami that are doing the Green Street. And then finally, we do a certification through the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers because the levee will be inspected, the levee and the appurtenances, the tow drains and the splash pad. And that's through the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm assuming we're not experts in that, but I'm assuming they report back to FEMA. So I just wanted to take a minute and let you know that our work is not done on the levee and the 34th Street Bridge. DOE supporting the community and the county through our consultant services to wrap up those certifications. So with that said, and then Prime AE Group is our design engineer, and we'll finish out the design plans, permitting, and all here. We have a schedule that Yami will go through with you. So I wanted to just proceed. And there you go. Yami, that's the first slide.
All right, thank you, Frank, and good evening, everyone. I'm Gadisa Yami, the lead project manager on the Green Street. I will be going through a few presentations that we prepared for tonight's presentation. The first slide shows the location of the map. Obviously, a lot of people know the project is located along the Arundel Road between 31st and 34th Street. And the purpose of the project, as Frank was suggesting, was as an improvement to mitigate the impacts of the Allison Street levee project. And the scope of work in this project involves full depth reconstruction, removal of existing sidewalk and replacing with a new ADA compliant sidewalk, providing handicap ramps, removal and replacement of impervious asphalt in the middle of the road. That means in between the divide of the east-west travel way, and replace it with greenscape with trees to reflect the Green Street approach to design roadway design. And we also have the submerged gravel wetland that we will be installing right at the corner, the northeast corner of the project area, which is 34th and Arundel Road, the northeast corner of the Arundel and 34th Street project. So this is an overview, the plan view of the map. I do know this is not the clearest of maps, but it's a little bit convoluted because we have to do some connection, but we do provide the city with a clean set of plans as we progress forward. This is a 90% plan view. It shows where the major components are, including the submerged gravel land, the median. If you go to the next slide, that will show you the profile, which shows better what we plan to do. The full depths replacement of the road, the median, the trees, and the sidewalk. But it also involves the removal of sidewalk on the north side of Arundel Road, which is taken up by the splash pad. And for safety purposes, we all agreed that we will eliminate a sidewalk on that side, and we will be putting up a sign to that effect that shows the public that that is not a sidewalk, but a splash pad. If you go to the next slide. So this is a brief overview of the elements of the design. Like I already mentioned, the green development feature, that means emerging gravel wetland, that will earn us credit toward impervious acre, but also it's a way of reaching out to the community and, as a demonstrative area. We will be putting up a demonstrative sign that shows what submerged gravel wetland is, how it benefits the environment, how it treats dirty water from the asphalt runoff, and treat the dirty water before it ends up into our storm drain system.
Can you expand the map, the charts a little bit? Make it broaden.
Frank, can you make it a little bit bigger?
All right, then we'll look at it later.
Okay.
It's fine. Go ahead.
All right, the next is Green Street landscape. Again, the median of the road will be divided into two, of course, east-west driveway, and the median will be replaced with a greenscape with some trees planted in the middle. And in the process, like I say, we will be removing impervious roadway and replace it with green pervious area. The vegetated improvement through vegetated storm drain inlets. It's not I'm sorry, that's not vegetated storm drain. That's enhanced storm drain system. Sorry for the typo over there. What that indicates is along the way, when we did the design study, we found out the existing storm drain inlets will not handle the 10-year storm. The area that drains into this area, into this Arundel Road storm drain system, existing storm drain system, does not carry 10-year storm. So we needed to do some adjustments, some tweaks onto the existing storm drain system that's enhancing some inlets and adding one more inlet into the existing storm drain system. Safety consideration, that is the ADA compliant sidewalk and the handicap ramps, as well as the signage for the community to know the splash pads will not be considered a walkway or sidewalk. Go to the next. This also shows briefly what is added or how this plan, this design changes existing condition. There will be parallel parking added, designated parallel parking added on the south side. That means toward the resident side, not the canal side. Toward the resident side of the street, Arundel Road, there will be 10 designated parking space that will be provided. The new safety signage I just mentioned, the crosswalks, intersections, more enhanced intersections with proper painting and stuff like that. We also protected, in the process of doing the submerged gravel wetland for stormwater management, we were almost, caught up by the presence of some trees. Luckily, with the coordination, a very good and open community coordination with the city, we end up saving 3 trees, 3 big existing trees, but we also add some additional 19 additional trees in the median space. So ultimately, it will work out just fine. The vegetated bioretention is not bioretention. Again, that's just for simply conveying the message. It's a submerged gravel overland. They look alike. They're not exactly the same. They work technically differently, but they're almost the same for the purpose of this meeting.
So how
So-
many more slides do you have?
We almost done. Two more.
Because the clerk already alerted me that like time is up, but go ahead and finish the last two.
Okay.
Okay. There you go.
It's
Let me
covered
just-
up, Frank, a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
I'm trying to, let me scroll up a little bit and zoom it down a little bit.
Well, this is basically why he does that. This is what is remaining for, going forward. What we have done so far, like I mentioned earlier, we are at 90% design phase. There are a few things that are remaining, finalizing the technical design. That means addressing comments from the city, the DPI, erosion sediment control. That means for soil district, soil conservation district, and WSSC, and finalize the permit. That means issue permit. Then we will be moving to contract document preparation and acquiring some contractors through our internal IDQ contract process. Then we acquire funding. That means it's just moving money within the pocket of the county system. It doesn't mean we haven't allocated funding. It just means moving around in the county pocket system. Then we secure the contractors and move on to construction. If you go to the last slide, Frank.
There you go.
A tentative schedule. Things may change depending on how the review process go, how fast we receive comments from everybody involved. But so far we do have the contract, the request for proposal from our contractors and finalizing the contract documents winter of 2022. We do anticipate to go to pre-construction activities in the spring, in the March to noon timeframe of next year, and anticipate to start construction July. That means summer of 2023. And if everything goes well, you never know once you start digging dirt, ground. If everything goes well, we anticipate to finish earlier than what we put up here. But if it goes, excuse me, if it goes to the winter of 2023, it will be very hard to get asphalt in that time because winter time asphalt plants will be closed down. That's why you see construction concludes March 2024. Let me be clear, we do not anticipate to go that far, but just in case, we want to be very open and upfront with that. Then the last is close out documents and inspection and all that kind of thing that we anticipate to conclude March to June of 2024. That concludes our presentation. If there is any question that we needed to address, we'll be around for a few minutes.
Thank you. Right now I'm going to open the floor to council in order for them to ask you guys questions and then open up to any member of the public. Rocio, after council, if you have anything to add, I'll go ahead and call you as well, because Rocio is our Director of Public Works.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start with Ward 1 since it's in Ward 1. Thank you definitely for the presentation. Luke, Jimmy.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Thank you for coming out and giving this presentation tonight. A few things. First off, decisions regarding the trees. The city obviously prefers native plants. We have a tree commission. So it would be really helpful if you consulted with our tree commission on decisions regarding what trees you plan to plant in that median strip. They can give you good suggestions based on what our tree canopy sort of needs. We're trying to select species that give a diversity of tree species in our town, as well as those species that will adapt well to climate change that we'll see coming here over the next however many years. So would appreciate you guys taking back that. Also flagging that for Mr. Kamali so that when you guys contact us, that we can contact the tree commission and make sure they have input on tree selection. And then the second thing is more of kind of a long-term. When the city had ARPA funding, we still have ARPA funding. One of the first things we asked our consultants to do, I'm sure you guys are familiar with LID and EcoSite and those folks. They did a feasibility study of what it would take to continue the Green Street effort from 31st all the way to Arundel. That of course would be wonderful to have that entire stretch be a green street all the way to our border with DC, all the way to Eastern Avenue. So from 31st, take it all the way to Eastern Avenue. I know the county has ARPA money. Has that consideration ever been given to this project? And if not, is there the potential for that in the future? Thanks.
Right. So good points, Luke. It was Luke speaking, right?
Yeah, that was me.
Correct.
Thanks.
Yeah. So good points. And we're aware of the tree commission, and we will certainly, we've already had some input from them. As Yami mentioned, when we were told which trees that we could take down in that open parcel, we would like that to be a focal point as well. We talked a little bit with Kamali back in September at our office, and we'll see what trees we can fit in there. There's some utilities that run along the levee, and the levee has a 15-foot offset as well. So even though it's a green space, it does still have constraints, but we would like that corner to be something that everybody's very proud of. Wouldn't necessarily be, it doesn't have a lot of space, and the submerged gravel wetland will drain more quickly than a bio, which is what Yami would try, explain that they look the same, but they function differently. But the submerged gravel wetland will keep it drier than a bio that tends to clog. As far as the ARPA funds, Luke, we started this project prior to, I think, our division or the county actually received notification of ARPA money. And we have approximately 17 projects within our division, so we're very busy. Some of them are water quality, some are straight drainage projects. And that money was attributed to those 17 projects back in the summer of 2021. As far as this project will be done without any additional federal funding. So as Yami mentioned, it's in our budget. We just have to allocate it with the construction task order, work order. If you're asking in terms of would the county be involved with ARPA funding to do the work with LID Center from 31st Street to Eastern Avenue, I'm not sure if that's what you're kind of implying, but
no, the question was really whether using ARPA funds or not. So I should have sort of clarified my thought. So when we did a feasibility study with LID, the cost estimate came back at over $2 million to do a Green Street ourselves. If Mount Rainier just finished the Green Street ourselves. And that was really cost prohibitive for us because that would have been half of our ARPA funding in one project. So we've decided to just do other things with that funding. So I'm wondering if the county, whether through ARPA funds or anything else, has there been any thought of finishing this Green Street all the way to Eastern Avenue? And if not, what would that process look like if we wanted to lobby the county to be able to do something like that?
Now you would have to lobby, you would have to bring that up to the county. Yeah, we typically, as Yami mentioned, this project was always proffered as a mitigation because your roadways were ripped, were badly damaged by that road being a detour and for construction traffic. So it was done principally for that purpose. And then we always want to do dual benefits. We want to maximize all the environmental and infrastructure uplifts that we can on every project. So we will try to maximize the trees. But as far as the county doing a Green Street, that would probably be planned through the sustainability division, but we might be involved, but I'm not sure that we would have to program it for funding to cover that. that you just mentioned, the 2 million, your cost estimate, it may be more than that.
Yeah,
We'll let Kamali know, Koresh, we'll let him know what the work order comes in. We'll share that information, and I think that would be helpful to the city as well to know, for this length of roadway with these features, this is what the cost was. So I don't think that anybody would reject the idea of doing the Green Street. It would just need to be programmed, and it would be a big lift because the county would have to then reprogram available bond money to shift it to this. The same way that you just mentioned, it would take all your $2 million of your ARPA funds. Is a lot on one project. So we work with Neil Weinstein, we work with LID. He's brought this up to us before just to share the concepts so that he knew what he would be extending. But that would be a dialogue to advance with our management. I can make a note that it was raised, the question was raised, and we'll be meeting with Emily Clifton and that group, I think in December, middle December, so we could bring it up to Emily as well. We have our division, like I said, we have 17 projects alone right now with a deadline to be completed by December 31st of 2024. That includes design, permitting, and implementation. So, we're real busy with work already in our
We have under
plate.
2 minutes left, and I still have 4 people
Okay.
to speak on the item. So, Melissa's time's up, so I could ask for more time.
you want to add 10 minutes now, Mayor?
Go ahead and add 10 minutes. I'm hoping we're not taking 10 minutes. Go on.
Maybe I'll add 5 minutes and then we can go from there.
Okay.
Motion to add 5 minutes.
Any seconds?
Seconded.
Any discussion? Abstentions? Objections? Hearing none, please have 5 more minutes, Melissa. Jimmy, you're
Okay.
next, and then Jared.
Yeah,
Go
I'll
ahead.
be quick. One is, can you share the PowerPoint with us so we can share with the community?
Yes.
Two, give us a sense of how much this project is costing. And 3, question about the transition from the Green Street to non-Green Street. Is that going to be, and what does that look like, and how do, you have a, kind of Green Street, and then suddenly you go to 31st Street and there's nothing there. Is there any thought about how that changes? Okay,
Well,
that's it.
it's still Jimmy, we will do all 3 things that you mentioned. Melissa already has the PowerPoint, so you're free to use it. And, we'll, as Yami mentioned, we'll be sharing additional plan sets as they're finalized with, through your city manager. For example, I just pulled up this slide, the width of the road is still the same width, so you won't see a difference there. We may, because of construction traffic right along Ellison, we may have to pave, a little further. We may have to redo the crosswalks if they get worn down with traffic.
By the way, it's called.
Mhm. But the width of the road remains the same as it currently is, like curb line to curb line, and we're just maximizing parking, putting in a median. So, the aesthetics will change, but other than that, it'll still look dimensionally the same as it is today. Just with this revised cross section to fit in green landscaping, to give you parallel parking. Currently, the community parks on this side of the road, and then I guess just crosses as necessary. But that's, like Yami mentioned, the safety considerations as well. So I think maybe going back to what Luke's questions were.
No, the last question was for me, just was the cost.
Yeah, we'll share that with the city manager, probably this coming spring when we have a work order, in place, a proposal from a contractor, and Yami will be monitoring that and working on that. And
Ballpark?
Ballpark, probably about, I'd say, maybe 1.2 million, 1.5 million.
Okay, that's all. That's enough. Good enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But we'll share the details like you mentioned.
Okay. So Jared, the floor is yours.
Yep. No, I just want to thank you for coming in today. Luke and Jimmy covered my questions, and I know I want to keep on moving on for any community feedback or additional feedback, Mayor, you have. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jared. So definitely thank you for coming. Since you have the screen right there in front, I have a couple of questions. You guys are thinking about having parking not where the splash area is at, but in the opposite end, correct? Where the residential area is at?
Yeah, that's Yami explained.
That's
that,
correct.
yes. Mhm.
Okay, because I know that's something that both the schools and the residents have definitely asked us where currently is right now. The other question is, you did put a calendar out. Have you guys taken consideration doing the heavy load of the work during the out of school time? Because we have a lot of kids crossing over from the apartments into the school and also from the houses behind into the school as well. And have you also reached out to the school to let them know this is what the calendar looks like, so that way they could start getting ready, whether it is to open the back door for the school to facilitate that, or what alternatives they also have?
Yeah, well, that was a lot of good concerns. Obviously, we were aware of the crosswalk here was a major, up to the school. But we will, in the presentation, the comments that Yami made this spring, we will, I think we'll be in a better position to do, we have to do public notifications. That'll go to everybody, school, police, fire. I think we even do the postal service, because with our maintenance of traffic, at least one half of the roadway has to be passable all the time. If you have a contact person at the school, Mayor, we could start that discussion with them now.
Yeah.
If Melissa can email us or whatever, and we'll follow up.
Yeah, because this plan is going to be sent also to our team, obviously Public Works, PD, so that way they're aware. But definitely, like if the school knows ahead of time, they could address the situation better. So I'll link you with the principal.
Yes.
So that way the conversation will start to happen.
And just to let you, what we would tell any stakeholder, just being transparent, and Yami has a lot of great construction experience as well. We really won't know the true schedule until we get a schedule from the contractor. And so that's what we'll push to, then we should, we would be sharing information and share what our needs are, what the community's needs are, and see how they can accommodate that. That maybe if there was some special event, then maybe they're not going to work or something like that at that time. But until we have the contractor to speak with, we really won't know that schedule, but that construction schedule highlighted there. But we as a partner with the community, we'll share everything that you will know what we know, and you will have a voice and input on how we move forward. As Yami mentioned, we might want to start in the summer, which is when the school is out, but maybe you don't want to do work during the holiday. You don't want the noise, and maybe that we have to bear some additional logistics to make sure that maybe there's temporary paving, during the holiday season before the asphalt plants close, and that would be additional costs. So this all has to work together. But
that will work fine. I'll think the conversation definitely needs to start right away with the principal and their team, so that way they know and understand the schedule's coming, a little more solidified schedule, but definitely the conversation.
Okay.
That way they know how to best address it, and so is our team. So time is up, but
okay.
I'm gonna ask you guys to give me 3 minutes, so that way if Rocio has something to add, or if any member of the community. If anybody member of the community is here, has a question regarding this, can you please type your name in the chat and let me know this is what you need? And for the people for rent stabilization, thank you so much for writing your names. I do see you. And I'm making a note of your names as well. Okay. So Rocio, council is, can you give me 2 minutes?
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you so much. Discussion, objection, abstention? Hearing none. So Rocio, the floor is yours if you want to add anything else on your perspective as Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just appreciate, thank you, Rami. I'm sorry, Frank and Yami for the presentation tonight. We appreciate your time. I just want to, thank also Luke for emphasizing the importance of the tree commission being involved and the tree preservation. Also like to echo that, but you guys covered most of all the questions, but I also wanted to see as well the possibility. I know you guys are looking to have those trees in medium, but if there's any possibility of sharing what species you guys will be doing there, I'm sure the tree commission want to be knowledgeable of those species of trees. So any information you guys can share, I know you guys will, so that would be appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. We share your thoughts on that, and we know there's some overhead power lines, et cetera. And our consultant is Prime has same intentions. So we want to work, effectively too, cost effectively too. So,
Right.
okay. So we'll start that as soon as we can get some of these things that can go concurrent benefits everything as well. So I think that would be our goal.
Rocio is our tree liaison for the staff. So that's a good point of contact. And you obviously know Luke is like our liaison from council. So they'll definitely make sure follow through in our tree commission is it's very good. And thank you for meeting. I know I met with it was Rocio, Mr. Kamali, myself, and Mary Lee. And thank you for saving those trees. We definitely watch out for our trees very much. Come on, before I close this because I don't see nobody from the public. Kamali?
Sorry,
Kamali, if you're
Mayor.
speaking, your
No,
mic is
I
muted.
was muted. No, I just want to say thank you, Frank, and thank you, Yami. Just, just keep us in the loop and I'll be in touch with you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Perfect. So thank you so much, Melissa. If you could send us that document aside from the package to the whole entire council. Also like the directors, it definitely helps so that way they have that because it would definitely affect the whole entire city in a positive, negative way so that we could start pre-planning. Okay. All right. Thank you, Frank and Yami. We appreciate you guys here and we look forward
You're
to
welcome. We appreciate you having us, and thank you.
All right, perfect. Have a good night.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Galos, could you stop sharing the screen?
I should have. I think I did.
Okay.
Did you? You should have it back.
Sometimes it takes a little bit.
Did you pay your cable bill?
They paid their transfer bill, right?
Yes. I did stop sharing as soon as.
Oh, yeah, you're fine. We see everybody.
Okay, very good.
Melissa's in the screen, so you're good.
Okay.
All right. Jared, do you happen to have the agenda in front of you by any chance so you could read item number 2? I know you have it memorized, Vice Mayor.
I can pull it up real quick. Sorry.
You go ahead and pull it out while Melissa and Jared are trying to figure out on our other end what is needed.
Jared, it's the Greenwill.
Update on Spring Park.
Oh, no, you missed Greenwill, didn't you?
Is Greenwill?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'm looking at the wrong one.
Okay, I see it right now. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Okay,
Yeah, sorry.
the next item on the agenda is the Greenwill Consulting Group LLC will provide a report to Mayor and Council on their federal and state earmark options. The Mayor and Council received a report from Greenwill Consulting Group LLC. And I believe it's Jacob who's here tonight because Leslie and Ivan right now are meeting with the Senator-elect Glenn Ivey and regarding many wonderful things. So, all right. So Jacob, thank you for being here tonight and ahead of time for all the work that you guys do. It's very appreciated and give us informed as well. So the floor is yours, Jacob.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and good evening, everybody. Jacob Moore here from Greenwill Consulting. Like the mayor said, you'll just have me today. Ivan, Leslie, and Jonathan are down at a fundraiser for Delegate Ivey and the new, Congressman-elect Glenn Ivey. And I'm currently snowed out here in Western Maryland, so I was stuck in the snow that we got out here. But yeah, we wanted to meet briefly with the council now that elections are finished and we're getting a little closer to session in January. So for District 47, Delegate Ivey and Delegate Fennell are returning to Annapolis alongside Senator Augustine, and former Prince George's councilperson Denny Taveras will be joining them in the House now that soon to be former Delegate Winika Fisher has been elected to the Prince George's County Council. So early this year, with the help of Senator Augustine, we secured a bond bill for $250,000. And in addition to this, we pushed for pre-authorization of $1.25 million in next year's budget. So for 2023, but fiscal year 2024. And both of these were earmarked for the Municipal Welcome Center in the city, there at Potts Hall. Now moving into session this January, we wanted to get our priorities in order early so that we can start meeting with the delegation and leadership to discuss our asks. We always like to have a roadmap early on. So this year we'll be fighting to keep that $1.25 million in the 2024 fiscal year budget. And we've decided to try and round out the total number of the ask up to $2 million by introducing, in addition to that, a $750,000 bond bill request in addition to the pre-authorization. So there'll be, once again, two different asks that we'll be working, one a bond bill and one miscellaneous grant in the budget. But both come through DGS, same capital grant money. So it's a similar process. But we're still getting an idea on what exactly the budget is going to look like for the next year. And when we do, we'll have a better understanding of the kind of the scope of the request. But we're fairly confident that the state's going to still be using that $2 or $3 billion surplus that they'd created over the last 2-3 years. And that is, that's what's going on from our end. We will be sending you more information if we get closer to session on those asks. But until then, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Jacob. Melissa, do you have the document that was sent earlier to put it on the screen? We'll wish your teacher happy birthday. All right. So, sorry, we had to deal with like children letting me know that it's the teacher's birthday. All right. So I'm going to open up the floor to Jimmy, Jared, Luke. Go ahead, Jimmy. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Jacob. And there were two questions, three actually, be quick. One is we really agree that the priority should be, if we possibly, to expand the money for Potts Hall. So that's an important thing. Two, you might want to put on the agenda, I don't know if you have a question about we're going to have be something, I don't know, out of transportation infrastructure money, maybe not out of the budget, that could be looked at. And the third thing, it was a question of we're doing some, I don't know, Luke can add, some possible lobbying with the senator's office, and we just wanted to make sure how we coordinate. Maybe Luke, you could kind of add about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, the first 2 points are just to put on your first. Agree with you about the Potts Hall. We really would appreciate that. That's great because we don't have enough money to finish it. Yeah. Two is you heard the discussion about Arundel Road. Maybe that's something Mr. Kamali could kind of talk to you about getting money for that. And third, I'll give it to Luke.
Okay, so apparently you guys are changing You guys are changing. Well, Luke, go ahead.
Changing what? I didn't mean to.
Luke, go ahead.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so Jacob, Jimmy was referring to one of the undersecretaries for HUD is a resident in Mount Rainier. He's now working for a consulting firm now out of government, but he has a lot of connections on the Hill and was willing to do some lobbying with the appropriators for us in that federal environment. And we were just wondering if you guys, we didn't want to step on anyone's toes. We wanted to make sure, we want to ask the question, do you guys do any federal lobbying? Or were you planning to do any federal lobbying for us, or were you just focused on the state?
Yeah, so we do lobbying within Washington, D.C., but not necessarily at the federal level, it's more at the city level.
Yeah.
But, I think it's great. I think for right now, we are good at that level, but so I would say moving forward, we want to meet with you guys or anybody on the council to kind of make sure that our messaging is the same, at the state level that the city would be offering at the federal level. So yeah, we definitely want to sit down and kind of talk that through.
Yep. Okay. That's helpful. And we could probably arrange that. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Jared.
Yep. No, just thank you for coming in and for the updates. It's glad this election season's over, and looks like we're looking forward to a great next session in the state. So I'll just echo, I think we're in a great place with where the state of Maryland is and resources for the city, and also where the federal government is in terms of resources available as well. So just echo Luke's point on make sure that all our activities, city, resources within the city, like residents that might be able to support, and your work is all coordinated and our messaging is the same. Thank you. That's it.
Definitely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jacob, so much for coming and all the work that you guys do. I know that when we started this, it was like the 23rd and a half hour last year, and you guys managed to get not just get money for us, but also put us in the pre-authorization budget. So that was very very successful. And at the same time, this year, because we were working continuous with you guys, the plan is ahead of time, and I know those conversations have already started. And I definitely like the fact that you guys are very effective at talking to people, communicating our message, but at the same time making sure that Mount Rainier is like in the top of people's mind in a positive way, and they're seeing the changes that are happening, the reasons why we need the resources. So so anything else we're doing will definitely be in coordination with you guys to make sure we do not affect any other efforts that are happening with you guys, because I know you guys have done excellent work for us. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Any member of the public that wishes to speak on this item? Jared with a D, anything on Facebook? All right. Perfect. So Jacob, have a great night, and thank you so much for coming. Okay. And
yes, you too. Thank you, guys.
Good. Best wishes out there being snowed in. Stay safe.
Thank you.
We're having a bad rain right here. I just didn't realize it was snowing up there where you were at. All right.
Yeah, it wasn't planned.
It's been crazy. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. Moving on to the next item. So, Jared, I'm going to ask you to have the agenda in front, so that way we're able to move as things are being transferred back and forward, just in case. All right. Jared with double T, like council member. All right, perfect. Moving on to item number 5, update discussion on Spring Park. 20 minutes, and that is 10 minutes presentation. Okay, the mayor and council will receive an update from Rocio La Torre, Director of Public Works. Rocio, I'm gonna cede the floor immediately to you, so that way we don't waste any time. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to start off, Mayor and Council tasked our department with finding out different options to either restore the spring well, what those costs might look like, restore, update the masonry, the brickwork, or options to fix the pooling water that occurs at the spring. In May, we asked Mike Clark with EchoSite Inc. To provide us with an investigation report in response to evaluate what options we might have, starting from dewatering the spring box to, by potentially eliminating for it to serve as a mosquito breeding ground. And then Mr. Clark identified that because of the ponding depth of the spring box, which is approximately 2 feet deep, it's fed relatively constant fresh water supply. It does not present a threat to mosquito breeding ground. However, because it collects leaves and other, trash, and it can present a safety problem. The safety issue, he recommended that we can address it by placing a decorative metal grill over at the surface elevation of the water. And in addition, adding like a geotextile screen that could be attached to the bottom of the metal grill to prevent any leaves or debris entering the spring box. That process, that can be done along with the restoration of the brickwork of the spring box. But he also mentioned, because of the significance of the history of the spring park, wanted to emphasize that we submit application through the park and planning for historic preservation through the Historic Preservation Commission for them to help us out through this process because it is a historical site. So that has been already submitted through park and planning. I've been working with, I think her name is Jennifer Stable, who has also emphasized that we can possibly be eligible for some grant funding through them, which she's going to help me walk me through that as well, see what we could be eligible for. In that meantime, I was starting to work with Eon Preservation, who were recommended by Jack Sullivan, who was previously working on the spring park. Unfortunately, Eon Preservation, midway through the planning and discussing the project, unfortunately weren't able to continue on with the project. They had, I guess, some interns that were moving out, so they didn't have enough staff available. But I was able to get some figures from them during that time, which they mentioned that between engineering costs and the implementation, that could cost anywhere between $125,000 to $150,000. And that doesn't include the masonry rebuild. So if we're looking to rebuild the brickwork, that could cost any additional between $25,000 to $75,000. So we're looking like almost nearly $300,000 if we're looking to preserve and the spring well. Now I have been working with Gladys on trying to get in contact with other contractors, engineers. Most have unfortunately declined to take on the project, and then we've had others that cannot start a new project because they have too much work on their hands. So they're looking at, potentially looking at the site until August of 2023. So that's where we're at right now. So in the meantime, like I said, I am working with Jennifer Stable at Park and Planning to see what grants we're eligible in the meantime, until we're able to find someone to work on the project as far as the design and the implementation, the brickwork, the engineering.
Thank you, Rocio. Just a question. Do you have this in a written document you could send Mayor and Council so we can have it for our records as well?
Yes, I can put it together.
Thank you so much, Rocio. Okay, I'm gonna open Jared, the floor is yours, followed by Luke, then Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you, Rocio. I really appreciate you and your staff taking the time to dig into this, kind of, figure out where we are, lay out our options, and and also do an exercise of going through potentially locating resources for it as well. So I might on that point cede my moment to Luke or Jimmy, because I'm still scribbling over some notes I took, and maybe come back to me, Mayor.
I don't even know how you are after this.
Sorry.
I was like, sorry, Jared. No.
I should just said pass, come back to me. I'm sorry.
All right, Luke. I know you
Sure.
said pass. Luke, and then Jimmy, and then second round. Then it'll
Yeah.
be me. Okay.
Thanks, Rocio, for coming out and doing all this work for us. You mentioned the work with park and planning and the help they could do. Would that be like, could you talk a little bit more about what that help would be? Like, would it be grant money for like feasibility? Like they would help us pay for finding the person to figure out what it would entail to revitalize the spring or do the brickwork, or what exactly would it be?
Right. So after speaking with Jennifer, there are different grant options, but the grant that she thinks that we would be probably most eligible for is once they're done and doing their investigation of after we submitted for the historic preservation application, making sure that this is actually in fact a historical site. There are some funding availability towards the brickwork, so towards the masonry rebuild of it.
Okay. And would we be able to do anything once that designation happens? Would we, and we might have to take this question back to them, would we be able to do anything to the park itself if we wanted to do landscaping updates to the park itself? Would that be off limits once this designation hits, or would we still be allowed to do that?
That's something I would have to get back to her. I don't think I think that's just for the well itself. Any limitation as far as how far we can limit the construction, if we do any landscaping, that's something I would have to get with her and find out after they go through their assessment and finding out if it's actually a historical site, if there's any limitations to that.
Okay. It would be helpful to get that information, just so that we know how to address this with the community, as far as questions about when we can start, seeing progress with this park. When will we know about the? Do you have a date on when we'll get? When they'll get back to us on the historic preservation piece?
That's gonna be, I followed up with her like 2 weeks ago. So I know she mentioned they're behind, of course, county. Yeah. But they should probably be getting back to us, if not by the end of this month, beginning of December.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah.
So your 3 minutes are up, Luke?
Yep, I'm good.
You're about minute number 5. But all right, Jimmy, and then we're coming around the second round. So if you think of anything, you have 2 minutes. All right, so Jimmy, the floor's yours.
Just that we have this kind of once in a lifetime ARPA money, and we talked about possibly putting some money in ARPA funds for this. Is it your sense that it's like we really won't know what to do for a while? Or can we talk to the city manager and make a proposal about whether we want to, possibly discuss putting aside some money for this? I couldn't quite tell from your presentation, and maybe I'm not asking you to respond now, but maybe talk to the city manager if we're going to, how does our decision take for this fit into stuff? Confusing to me.
Right. So, I mean, it would be difficult to say how soon, if we're able to get figures, because the figures I gave you, again, they're from a firm that we were working with, and those were rough figures that they were giving us before they did any further design or looking into the project any further. But and with other contractors not being available until possibly August of next year, I mean, if we're going to continue to work on reaching out to different companies, I mean, I'm even trying to get someone from Chicago to try to help us out with this project. So we're going to continue looking for someone, but it would be really hard to say if it's best to allocate money to, you know, put money on the side for it now when there's not really any guidance yet. And plus, even us looking into the grant funding, we want to make sure we don't, yeah.
You answered my question. Thank you.
All right, perfect, thank you. So Rocio, can you, and the document that you sent to Mayor and Council, can you make sure you put these different scenarios that you were discussing when it comes like to the play, to rebuilding or not? I've heard mixed feelings from neighbors wanting to rebuild that thing or leave it as this and just put a beautiful sign and and work on the drainage. And so that definitely would be the different options. And I definitely understand what you're saying, because if they could even attempt to start working until next year, those prices might be completely different. That's them even thinking about looking at it by next year.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Jared, and Jared, the floor is yours. And I did see Hillary. Once council finishes their round, we open it up to the public. Okay. All right. So Jared, we're ready.
Yep. No, thanks, Rocio. And Jimmy
And you're on mute.
basically answered. Oh, sorry. Jimmy basically answered asked my question, which was, how long and how long till we have some, I think, clarity. And it sounds like you're waiting on park and planning. So let's just make sure to keep this item, in the back of our minds when we, if we need to think about resources once we get some clarity on what the next steps could be. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jared. And because I did a second round, I have to officially ask Luke and Jimmy, you need anything else to add, or we're good?
I'm good.
So Luke, anything else? Or we cover everything?
No, I'm good
Or
for
you have
now.
something else?
No, I think I'm good for now. We may have to bring this back to a work session, but I think there may be a comment from the resident.
All right, perfect. Jimmy, you're good?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna open it up to the public. I do see Hillary Varga from 33rd and Shepherd on the line. So Hillary, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and thank you, Rocio, for this presentation. It's really exciting, and I am hopeful that we can move forward with something like this. I think it sounds really great. Just a clarifying question, you mentioned that engineering costs would be about $125,000. Is that specifically for the decorative grill that you're talking about, that you would reference in terms of keeping the spring safe, or could you explain a little bit about what those costs might be for? Thanks.
Sure. So the engineering services, it basically entails giving the city different options of the design, the cost of implementation, construction. So that roughly is, so the engineering service is anywhere between 25, 50,000, just depending on the firm that we're talking about. And design and implementation can take another, that's the most expensive part, that's anywhere between $38,000 to $100,000.
So Rocio, but was that just for the grill or for rebuilding the whole thing? Which one was it?
No, for rebuilding, for adding the grill, that's just an option that was recommended by Mike Clark from EchoSite, but there's no cost for that. That cost would have been given during the design. Let's say, for example, if I was to continue working with Eon Preservation, I would make this recommendation to them. What would it cost for us to add this to it? But it wouldn't, it's just an option.
Okay, perfect. Hillary, does that answer your question?
I guess just as a clarifying question to follow up. So then if the 125,000 is not associated with the grill, what are the engineering that would then cost that?
That would be everything. The design of the masonry, the rebuild of the brickwork.
Okay, sorry, I thought you said the 125,000 didn't include masonry, but it would be 300,000 with masonry.
That would be the designing of the masonry and the brickwork.
I see.
The
Okay.
design engineering service.
Got it. Okay. And the grill is separate. Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. That's helpful.
No problem.
It's grill design and actually implementation. Those are the three different ones, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you so much, Rocio. Anybody else from the public would like to have a question regarding the report that Ms. Rocio Latorre gave? Anything on Facebook? Jared? All right, so Rocio, anything else to add? If not, we're moving on to the next item. Go ahead.
No, thank you all so much for your time and I appreciate the feedback.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rocio. Have a good night, okay? Or you
You
might
too.
be
Thank
here in the
you.
agenda. All right, bye. All right, so moving on to item number 6, presentation and discussion of the Administrative Service Department first quarterly report. The Mayor and Council received a presentation from Melissa Sand, Director of Administrative Service. Melissa, the floor is yours. 20 minutes, 10, no more than 10 minutes to present. If not, call yourself your own time. All right, go ahead, Melissa. If
Good
you're
evening,
speaking,
Mayor and Council, City Manager, and residents. I'm pleased to present the Administrative Services Department first quarter report. The Administrative Services Department is comprised of the Clerk's Office, Communication and Event, Mount Rainier Television, City Hall Front Desk Administrative Assistant, and the Grant Writer. For the first quarter, we hosted 5 Mayor and Council meeting, which included preparing meeting agenda, recording, and live streaming, with 3 meeting minutes being approved. To date, all meeting minutes for that quarter were approved. There was 1 resolution, which was the Youth Council, and 3 ordinances, which is speed monitoring system, bond for Potts Hall Welcome Center, and budget amendment number 1. We had 3 PIA requests in that quarter. For social media, we gained 47 followers. For Facebook, 36 for Instagram, and 17 for Twitter. So we had a 30-day data where we compare August to September, and for the month of September, our Facebook reach increased by 433.1% and 42.3% for Instagram. Also, we had 4 staff members participating in a boomerang video posted on Instagram and Facebook for the Latino Heritage Month. For the website, the city calendar and news section of the website are managed and updated daily. This quarter news section included the 988, the new 3-digit code, school supply drive, Latino Heritage Month, the facade improvement, and the drone pilot program. For the newsletter, we issued the September message that was published in that quarter. And for departmental support was the facade improvement. We received payment for services for residents for code compliance and public works department. We assisted the city departments with all technical system issues. We assisted with the PD, the police department basement bond, reimbursement for Potts Hall, Welcome Center, and the library. Also grants for the Green Street and Potts Hall Welcome Center projects, and grant for the community garden, which was PEPCO Sustainability Communities. And for events, for that quarter, events that we either planned or assisted, we had our first Latino Heritage Celebration. We had the CAMC Scholarship Award Ceremony. We had the Police Department National Night Out and Public Safety Night. And finally, other miscellaneous projects. We also did notarization for documents for residents. Thank you. Any questions?
What happened to the rest of Melissa under 10 minutes? All right. So, Constance, I'm going to open up the floor. Jared was first and was looking now. Jimmy, it's your turn. Jimmy, Luke, and Jared, go ahead.
Just thank you very much for all your work, and that's all.
Thank you, Jimmy. Luke.
Thank you.
Melissa, thank you for everything you do on the city, especially for staying late for us on many nights. I know that can't be easy, and I'm sure it's on your family. So just thank you for everything you do for us. You're doing a lot, and everybody and the administrative staff is doing such great work. To see the statistics on like Instagram and Facebook and how much we're engaging. I know Pink has a lot to do with it, so thank you, Pink. And Jared, you know, you're always out there taking photos of us. You make us look good in those photos too. So it's very nice of you to do that. And you do a great job at it. So just so appreciative of you all being in Mount Rainier doing this work. You're so great, and I'm just so happy that you're on our team. So don't leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jared.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for this this summary. Your team covers a ton of different areas. It's really and thank you for putting this together and running through it with us. It's really great to see the breadth of impacts you're having on this on the council and the community, from just keeping the meetings running to the communications, which has I'm always residents always comment to me how much how many opportunities there are to find out about things, Facebook, Instagram, email. Like folks feel like they're getting the word out. That wasn't always the case years and years and years past. So it's really been great to be able to relax and know you all are getting the word out and communicating both what the city is doing and about opportunities for folks to participate and meet others. So, thank you again for all this. And we just want to say we really appreciate you and your team. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so it's my turn. I think from the team, I'm the one that works closest with all of you guys. So I've seen how much time and effort you guys put in making sure communication is out, the agendas are ready, minutes are ready, and reaching out to the community overall. There's definitely been a lot of effort to make sure the community is informed, but also have spaces to participate. So definitely thank you, of course, to you, Melissa, Pink, Jared, Bill, and Gabby for the work doing. I think you guys work collectively great as a team, and in trying to have everybody included, but also informed. So thank you very much for that. You see, under 3 minutes, Melissa. And thank you for putting up with my timing and the console as well. I get a bunch of text messages from Melissa, about time is running. So we definitely appreciate the late nights and also making sure, all the information is there. And I told you, it's been great to see the minutes put in front of us so quickly, but also information out. And I know sometimes I emailed you guys saying this is what is needed, and you guys are usually pretty good at having a good turnaround and putting the information out. So thank you for that as well. You guys definitely balance a lot of hats, and we're appreciative of all the work that you guys do. All right, so anybody in the public has anything to ask Melissa? Ask her. All right, I see nobody in the chat. Jared, anything on Facebook? Or questions? Melissa, you ready? All right, Melissa.
Ready.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Melissa, for the report and all the work they do for you and the whole team. All right, so item number 7, presentation, discussion, and Human Resource Department's first quarter report. Mayor and Council received presentation from Cheryl Morris, Director of Human Resources. And if you guys haven't met Cheryl, she's our HR Director. So the staff definitely knows who she is, but definitely we don't have Cheryl out in the meetings very much. All right, so Cheryl, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager, and residents. If there are any residents on, thank you for allowing me to do my first presentation for the first quarter HR report. Specifically, there were 3 areas that I really want to speak on, and one starting with is recruitment, because even though I haven't been on the council meetings, I was on one, And I want to talk about the social service coordinator position because I know that's been a concern of the council. We have interviewed for the position twice this month. We have conducted interviews. We have a potential candidate, and we have run into some challenges because we have no calls or no shows, or we call them and we're linking them on the, candidates are on the way and they're not, or they say we're too far, or they only want telework, but we're still pressing in. We're not giving up on getting these positions filled. I'm definitely not giving up on getting the positions filled. So we do have a candidate, a potential candidate that we interviewed last week, and we just have to work out to see if they would be willing to accept an offer or the offer that we would desire to give to them. And if they don't, we will continue to press in. I have positions posted on I have to repost on MWE, which is Maryland Workforce Exchange. I have the representative even screening for me. Of course, our website, of course, Indeed. Of course, I found another site called Post a Job for Free. So we are just plugging in MML. And I was talking to one of the directors earlier. We were just going back and forth about the positions and one position in general. And we came up with this idea of, even at this point, we did a job fair. With Pink and even myself, we put the information out. We expected a lot of people to come. So the last thing I mentioned to Mayor, we were together, Mayor, myself, and Chief, was, okay, I'm going to hit up the associations, even though they could be a little costly, because we need to get the position filled. So I had asked the city manager, which he said, okay, that I would go ahead, if this person doesn't accept the offer that we're working on, to go ahead and just put the position on the NASW, which is the National Association for Social Workers. So I just want you guys to know that we are plugging in, we are pushing for it, and we have every desire, and I especially have every desire to get all our positions filled, honestly, by the close of the year. That's my goal. Now, will I fill that goal? I don't know, but the desire is there. I've been plugging, and working with the department heads to get it done. We had interviews for code compliance as well. I know we're down a person. We have been interviewing. We have a candidate to refer to the city manager for a second interview, and we will continue to interview as well for that opportunity. And even for our general labor position, we lost a candidate last quarter. So we need to fill that role as well. We have been reaching out to candidates as well and trying to get candidates in. We also have, Chief's been looking at police officers, and his administrative lieutenant is looking at police officers. We're trying to get those filled as well. And also, we did hire or offer, or will be offering, let me take that back, we will be offering for our administrative lieutenant position for them to go into the role on Monday. So it's been a challenge, but we are plugging away. So we will get the positions filled.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. Is there anything else in your report? Oh, there you go. Thank you.
So I want to talk about training and development, because I had something I've been working on. I always believe in the city manager as well. We were talking about investing in our team, investing in our employees. And so I have been looking at some training for public works and code compliance specifically. I went to Lancaster and J.J. Keller, but Lancaster was more cost effective because we wanted to get them OSHA certified or recertified, because my understanding that this happened prior to me coming on board. Also looked at skill path for professional training for the team and employees in general. And there's an organization that I had worked with before that's really good. The lady came in when I worked for Prince George's County from the training source to do professional development training. But I have not heard back from her. I have another contact and I'm trying to reach out to her. But the one that I really like, that won't cost the city anything at this time, even though I do want the other ones, is the one with Legit. Because we already have Legit Benetcon. And basically going through them, and I've been working with Michelle Kiplinger, will allow us to create an online LMS, which is a learning management system, where the managers will be able to go in, set up courses for their team, and the team can take the courses, 1 hour online courses, and it's 24/7. There are 3 free courses per quarter, and we're already paying for it. It's already in our package. So that's something that I really, really like, and it allows the employees to get a certificate that can go into their file. The classes are varied. My only concern I had with them was I didn't feel was enough professional development courses for the managers, but I've been told by Legit that this December, they're going to be putting a lot of new courses in the online training. So at this point, really, it's just me relearning it or learning it again with Michelle, because we only had a 10-minute review. So it'll be a train the trainer. And it'll also, we could do annual training. So whether it's harassment, discrimination training, where all of us could take it, or civility training, where all of us can take it. It'll be so many courses. Meanwhile, they are offering 2 free courses that we could take right now, where we could get someone in here at no cost for 2 classes. So that's something else that I've been working on, and I really want to get the LMS going. That's just one of my goals. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was compliance, because what I really want the council to know is that if you see on my PowerPoint, let me go to the page really quick, where you see all are ongoing and continuous. It's because that this office, me coming in here, this office was not really organized. There's a lot to do, but progress is happening. Things are moving. I kind of like to see things move faster, but things are moving. So if you see that on the PowerPoint for a period of time, it's just going to take some time for me to get the HR office together, because I am the HR team. So those are the things I really want to point out to you, and want you to know that I was working on, especially with the recruitment side, because I knew that there was some concerns.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Cheryl. I'm gonna open up to council. I got Luke, Jared, Jimmy. Go ahead, Luke.
No, this was just so helpful to hear and to go through, because you're obviously a little more newer to the city than others, and just to be able to hear from you personally about all the work you're doing. This is great, and I just really appreciate more staff. Now I have more staff to be appreciative of, and I'm just appreciative of your work and coming here to share it with us, and the opportunities that you're getting for staff. So just thank you again, and keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Perfect. Jared, Jimmy.
Yep, Cheryl, no, just thank you so much for coming out. I don't often get to connect with you as much, so it's really a pleasure to get to hear you and hear updates about your division and the work you're doing for the city. So it's just really helpful to see, where you're working on all these different pieces. HR obviously is not just recruitment, which is obviously a big lift, and then you're doing some fantastic work there. It's also training, it's also retention, and I really appreciate all the efforts you're doing across, not only bringing people on, but getting them, helping grow them, and helping them continue on with the city. So I really just want to thank you for that, and I also want to thank you for you came into this position. There's as you mentioned, some improvements to make in terms of structure and tracking and process, and I really appreciate the things you've laid out here that I'm actually looking at right now. The professionalism and the structure that you're bringing to the city. So I just want to thank you very much for that. And the last thing I just also wanted to say is I know we kind of get like pushes and pulls on what staff the city should be doing it where it should be staffed. And you are correct. We do hear on the social service coordinator. You know, all the roles in the city are important in that one because it kind of fills a gap that, you know, that there's often residents or community members often have a touch point that they're looking to make. So I appreciate your efforts on filling that. But you know, I do appreciate that you're taking the time and not only on that position but on all the positions to make sure that, you know, we're not just hiring someone, we're hiring the right fit, and we're hiring someone that's going to be a great ambassador and a great liaison, whether they're the social service coordinator, whether they're in you know, any internally facing or externally facing role. It's really important to get the right folks in that are going to really be passionate about the city and this community. So I thank you for the attention that you're paying to that. And that is all.
Thank you so much, Jimmy.
Just thank you, Cheryl. We have a long meeting. Because I'm brief doesn't mean I don't really appreciate what you do. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Jimmy, for being brief. No comment from the other council members. So no, Cheryl, thank you so much. And I definitely know the great efforts you guys are making to fill that position because, you know, I'm doing my best also reaching out and helping as well. I think two things that maybe will be important for that position and maybe to consider. One, it's right now we're aiming at doing one full-time person for social service coordinator, and we don't seem to be having too much luck. And if it's better for us to cut into two part-time positions, then maybe that's a route to go. It's a food for thought to consider. The other thing with the training, thank you for reaching out to do for the training that is definitely needed. You definitely all know my feelings about training for staff. It's always needed and it's very rewarding. The other thing is like for the upcoming budget, because I did notice like the training amount is very, very low there. Can you make sure, as there'll be probably a Kamali thing in you, but can you guys make sure that when it comes to the training that you were talking about for us to, one, hear about it, and two, maybe even project it in the budget so that we're able to get the rest of the staff in the other training that are needed that are not necessarily free, okay? But I definitely appreciate all the work you're doing and how hard you're trying to fulfill these positions, all right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so anybody from the public that's in the call that wishes to say something about this, speak now. Okay, anything on Facebook? All right, Cheryl, thank you so much for being here, and I'm glad the community got to meet you. I know you do a lot of great work and open season for insurance here, so I know that's also been keeping you very busy. All right, thank you so much. And she also works with payroll. All right, thank you, Cheryl. All right, moving on to the next item. Item number 8, discussion on housing instability. The mayor and council will have a discussion on housing instability. So it's no big surprise for any of you guys that 2/3 of our residents live in apartments. The prices continue to increase. And it's becoming hard and hard for them to be able to cover the rent. So we, along with other cities, I think it's time for us to start, you know, picking up the subject once again. And figure what it is, but also think about also reaching out to county council to make sure they know that this is important for us. And I could open it up to the public, but along with rent stability also comes along with tenant protections. It was very interesting to me, not in a positive way, that there is a last legislation. There was a 90-day legislation to have like the owners warn the tenants 90 days ahead that the rent hike was going to happen, and it was voted down. So they don't even get that. So right now it's like basically like they could tell you pay your rent today, and they could tell you like your prices goes up with whatever amount next rent, and you barely have even time to think and breathe. So that's happened to a few residents. So it's important for us to talk about it and figure out what we can do as a city to both focus on rent stabilization, but at the same time also when it comes to tenant protections that the city could offer. So I'll leave it at that for right now. There is a long list of people that do want to speak. I'm going to pass it to the council. I will start with Jimmy this time around. Jimmy, Jared, and then Luke. Go ahead, Jimmy, the floor is yours.
I'm waiting to hear what some of the residents are saying. You know, I'm basically in favor of some kind of policy or rent stabilization that deals with some of these issues. And I know, Mayor, you've been working with some of the other cities, and I'm actually waiting for you to take the lead, and I'll be very supportive of it. But I'm going to cede my time because we have a bunch of people I know who want to speak.
Thank you so much. Luke and Jared, we'd like to just see the time to the community and come back to you guys.
We
Yes.
can't hear you, Mayor, by the way.
Can you hear me now? All right, so I'm gonna start with the top of the call because you do have a lot of residents. So we have Juan Lopez from 3200 Chillam Road regarding rent stabilization. So Juan, the floor is yours.
Hi, greetings, council. You guys can't see me, but my name is Jorge, and I'm going to be translating if that's all right.
Thank you, Jorge. We appreciate you translating because that way I don't have to do it. All right, thank you so much. Go ahead.
Buenas noches, alcaldesa y concilio. Mi nombre es Juan López. Vivo en los apartamentos de los Queenstown, el 3212 de la Chillam Road, apartamento 202, la ciudad de Mount Rainier, desde hace 18 años.
Good evening, council and mayor. My name is Juan Lopez. I have been living here in Queenstown Apartments for 18 years now.
Una vida aquí con mis hijos y mi familia. Ya tenemos una vida aquí hecha y aquí estudian mis hijos. Deseamos quedarnos aquí por esta razón. Pedimos que se haga una ley.
And you know, here with my family, we are established, my wife, my kids go to school here in the community, and we love the city. And that's why, you know, we want to stay here, and we're asking for a law.
Y finalmente les pedimos que, por favor, piensen en nosotros, los inquilinos, que somos muchos en la ciudad de Mount Rainier. Por favor, que pasen una ley de estabilización de renta.
And I am asking the whole council to think about us tenants here in Mount Rainier, because it is a lot of us, and we need a rent stabilization law. Thank you.
Y este mensaje
Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Don Juan. So I just thank Mr. Juan Lopez for his statements. Rosemary Cifuentes, 3318 Chauncey Place. Rosemary, el piso está abierto para que tú hables. So the floor is open for her to speak.
Muy buenas noches. Mi nombre es Rosemary Cifuentes. Vivo acá en el 3318 de la Chauncey Place, apartamento 101, Mount Rainier, Maryland, aquí en los apartamentos de Queenstown.
Good evening. My name is Rosemary Cifuentes. I live in 3318 Chauncey Place here in Queenstown Apartments.
Quiero agradecer a nuestra querida alcalde y al concilio por darme la oportunidad de estar aquí y compartir mis palabras. Yo he vivido en Mount Rainier por 16 años en los apartamentos de Queenstown.
I want to thank the mayor and the council for giving us the space of being here and sharing our thoughts. I have been a resident here in the city of Mount Rainier for 16 years.
Ya tenemos una vida, mi esposo y yo, aquí en la ciudad, y deseamos seguir aquí y de renta pagamos $1,323 y aparte todos los servicios.
My husband and I, we've made our life here in Mount Rainier. We love it here. And more than anything, right, our rent is already high. We pay $1,323 and all of our utilities are separate.
Ya agregando con los biles y la renta más o menos nos viene saliendo de 1,700 a 1,800 cada mes.
When we round up all of our bills and our rent put together, monthly we're paying $1,700 to $1,800, which fluctuates.
He escuchado sobre los aumentos de renta extremos aquí cerca de nosotros en Laurel y en Bladensburg. No queremos lo mismo aquí en Mount Rainier.
I have heard about the recent extreme rent hikes that have been going on near us in Laurel and even closer here in Bladensburg, and we do not want that to happen to us here in Mount Rainier.
Queremos protecciones para los inquilinos de Mount Rainier.
We want protections for Mount Rainier tenants.
Alcaldesa y concilio, por favor, pasen una ley de estabilización de inquilinos.
And mayor and council, please pass a law to stabilize rents.
Cada día que no tenemos esta ley y los propietarios nos pueden aumentar la renta.
Every day that we don't have this law, it gives landlords the power to increase rent as much as they want.
Por favor, pasen ya una ley de estabilización de renta. Gracias y Dios les bendiga.
Please pass a rent stabilization law. Thank you and God bless you.
Gracias, Rosemary.
Amén.
Okay, so now we have Hilma Chacon from 3200 Buchanan Street. And thank you, Jorge, for translating as well.
Of course.
Buenas noches, alcaldesa Celina, Benitez y el concilio.
Good evening, Mayor Benitez and council.
Buenas noches.
Mi nombre es Hilma Chacón, vivo en el 3332 de la Buchanan Street, apartamento 201.
My name is Hilma Chacon. I live in 3312 Buchanan Street.
Llevo 6 años viviendo.
And I have been there for 6 years.
Y desde que me mudé a mi dirección anterior, solo he vivido en Mount Rainier. Esta ciudad me ha gustado. A mis niños les gusta la escuela y quiero quedarme aquí. Les gusta el ambiente, tienen sus amigos y eso es bueno para ellos.
Since I moved to Mount Rainier, I have lived only in one other place. I love it here. This is why we stay, you know. My children love it here. They go to school here. All of their friends live in the area. It's a good place for us to live.
Finalmente les pido que por favor piensen en nosotros los inquilinos. Somos muchos en la ciudad de Mount Rainier y no queremos los incrementos de renta altas. Por favor, pasen una ley de estabilización de renta.
And my ask is that the council and the mayor will pass a rent stabilization law so that all of our children and families can continue being together. Please think about us tenants and pass a rent stabilization law.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias, Hilma. Council, there's 5 minutes remaining. Can I please ask you guys to allocate more time because we do have 6 more speakers? Can we do 10 minutes at least?
Yes, so moved.
Okay, move probably second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we are adding 10 more minutes. So solo para traducirles, sumamos 10 minutos más porque queremos escuchar lo que tienen que decir, ¿ok? Así que la siguiente persona en la lista es Iver Bonilla, de 3262 de Queensland Road. Yvette.
Sí.
Hola, buenas noches. Primero
Buenas
quiero
noches.
agradecerle por el tiempo que nos ha regalado usted y el concilio y para la oportunidad que tenemos para exponer nuestro caso.
Good evening. My name is Yvette, and I just first of all want to thank you, Mayor, and Council for giving us time to share our concerns.
Yo vivo en el 3262, 302, Mount Rainier. También me gusta el lugar, pero sí también quisiéramos ver si nos pueden ayudar.
And I've been, I live here in Mount Rainier. I love the city, but we also have concerns that are coming up as well.
A darnos también, o sea, una estabilidad, pues, que tengamos una renta que no cambie y pues la verdad que estamos ya, como decimos, acostumbrados, ya tenemos 4 años viviendo acá.
I have 4 years living here, and more than anything, right, I want a law that will help us be stable, which this is all about, knowing how much our rent is going to be going up so that we can prepare.
Oh, pues también me siento agradecido porque ustedes nos han tomado en cuenta. Esperamos también que algún día alguien llegara y nos escuchara, porque también pues lo de la renta es una cuestión que a muchos nos afecta y también pues muchas veces queremos que alguien nos escuche y nos ayude para ver si podemos dejar solo un plan de renta.
And I appreciate being here and sharing my concerns, and more than anything, I would love for council to take action and pass a law on this.
Agradecido con ustedes por su tiempo y porque le están dando pues también el tiempo a nuestras peticiones y gracias por eso.
Once again, thank you guys for listening to our concerns.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Beth. Señora Beth, Ada Rodríguez de 3265 Queenston Drive. Ada Rodríguez from 3263 Queenston Drive. Queenstown Drive, sorry. Go ahead.
Hola. Buenas tardes, alcaldesa.
Hola. Muy buenas tardes.
Muy buenas noches.
Mi nombre es Walter y ella pues Ada Merlos.
Good evening, council. I'm Walter, and this is Ada.
Estamos aquí en esta reunión pues para traer nuestra inquietud referente al alto costo que hemos venido teniendo de año en año, que hemos venido renovando contratos y queremos pues a través de usted obtener esa ayuda de que se mantenga estable lo que es el pago de renta, también la seguridad en nuestra área pues es muy importante.
And we are here, asking the council to take action on what has been the rent increases. In my case, every year that we renew our leases, our rent goes up a significant amount.
Pues imagínense, llevamos aquí prácticamente 15 años viviendo en los Queenstown. Entonces es prioritario pues que se le ponga un alto al alza de la renta. Porque año con año pues nos están incrementando.
We have been living in Queenstown apartments for 15 years. And, every year that they increase our rent, they do so by a big amount.
Y pues repitiendo nuevamente y de manera más corta, pues haciendo hincapié en que haya un poco de sensibilidad en cuanto a nuestra situación acá en esta comunidad.
And I am asking, right, please treat this as a sensitive issue and please listen to our concerns from the community.
Okay. Gracias.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Ada y Walter. Seguimos con, Susana Romero. So Susana Romero from 3308 Chauncey Place, you are next.
Buenas noches, alcaldesa y concilio. Mi nombre es Susana Cristina Coca y también representando a mi esposo Wilber Velázquez.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Susana. I live here in Mount Rainier, but I'm also, representing my household, my husband Wilber here as well.
Yo vivo en el apartamento 3308 de la Chanson Place. Tengo 8 años viviendo en la propiedad.
I have been living in my apartment in Chauncey Place for 8 years.
Y pues esta petición es porque hemos estado experimentando los altos aumentos de la renta.
And you know, my reason of being here is because of the high rent increases.
Y pues nos damos cuenta con el vecindario de que ellos también están pasando por lo mismo.
And in talking to our community, we realize that the rest of our neighbors are going through the same thing.
Y pues queremos seguir aquí en esta ciudad, luchar por una justa renta, y por eso estamos aquí para pedirles a ustedes con todo respeto que nos ayuden.
We want to stay here, and that's why we're on this meeting, to ask the council to pass a rent stabilization law so that it can help us as tenants.
A pasar una ley de estabilización de renta.
And please help us passing a law for rent stabilization.
Pues lamentablemente aquí donde pues residimos no tenemos ni un buen servicio prácticamente.
And where we live, unfortunately, right, we don't even get good services.
Cada vez que queremos poner una queja en las oficinas, pues lamentablemente no nos tratan con buena vista ni nada.
We aren't treated well when we try to talk to management.
En cambio, pues hasta los supervisores son muy agresivos con uno. Nos dicen que si no nos gusta, pues que nos podemos comprar nuestra casa.
And, you know, they treat us unfairly and tell us things, joking and mocking us as tenants.
Sí, pues bueno, voy a tomar un poquito de tiempo. Yo tuve un percance aquí en ¿cómo se llama? En el building. Yo tuve una caída y yo fui a la oficina a poner la queja que necesitaba una planta baja.
I fell, you know, in my building, and after going to make a petition that, you know, I needed to live in a lower level.
Y me dijeron de que no, que ellos no podían hacer nada.
They just tell us what they usually tell us, which is no, that they can't do anything.
Pues esperamos en Dios y en ustedes que pues nos puedan ayudar con esta petición. Se los vamos a agradecer mucho y que Dios los bendiga a todos.
And, you know, we don't have these services and many amenities here in our properties. So that's why we ask for there to be rent stabilization laws that would protect us as tenants. And may God bless you guys.
Que tengan feliz noche.
Good night.
Muchas gracias. Esperamos que te mejores pronto de la caída. So we're wishing her a steady recovery from her fall. So next we have Teresa Romero, 3314 Chelsea Place. Teresa.
Sí. Hola, buenas noches, alcaldesa y concilio.
Good evening, council and mayor.
Mi nombre es Teresa Romero. Vivo en la 3314 de la Chanson Place, Mount Rainier.
My name is Teresa Romero. I also live in Chauncey Place here in Mount Rainier.
Llevo 2 años ya viviendo en la ciudad.
And I've been living here in the city for 2 years.
Soy madre soltera con 4 hijos.
I am a single mother of 4 kids.
Ellos dependen solo de mí.
And they depend, you know, of me to provide.
Y finalmente, pues, estamos pidiendo de todo corazón, pues, que pongan la estabilización de renta.
And, you know, we're asking with all of our thoughts and, you know, touching our hearts and asking that you guys can pass rent stabilization.
Pues, para que nosotros pues podamos tener una mejoría en nuestro hogar, pues ya que cada año pues nos van subiendo, pues a mí me subieron $100 más de lo acordado, ya que yo pago $1,350.
And, you know, we're asking for rent stabilization so that it can help our homes more than anything, so that we can know what's coming. Because in my case, my rent was increased $100 more than what we had discussed with management.
algo que en mi sueldo no está disponible, pues dejo de comprar algo importante para mis hijos para poder tener yo lo de la renta a la hora acordada.
And with my salary, you know, $100 is a big difference. Sometimes I have to choose from buying things that are important for my children because of the rent price.
Y siento porque no es justo
And you know, to me, that's not fair.
y pedirles de todo corazón pues que puedan estabilizar la renta lo más pronto posible, pues se lo agradeceremos mucho.
And we hope that you guys can consider rent stabilization law as soon as possible so that it can help our families. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Okay, deja ver. Muchas gracias, Teresa. Rosa Mejía del 3308 Chauncey. Buenas noches, Rosa.
Sí, buenas noches. Buenas noches, alcaldesa y concilio. Mi nombre es Rosa Mejía.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Rosa Mejia.
Tengo 15 años en este país y vivo en la 3308 Chauncey Place, apartamento 101.
I have been living here in Mount Rainier and in the city for 15 years in Chauncey Place.
Tengo 2 años en la ciudad y cuando me mudé me tocó renovar mi contrato y el aumento fue de $100 y eso no es justo.
While being here in the last, 2 years, my last rental increase was of $100. And to me, that's not fair.
Y venimos hoy a ustedes a tocar sus corazones de que pasen una ley de estabilización de renta.
And that's why I'm here, because of the last rental increase I received, to ask the mayor and council to pass rent stabilization law.
Sí, porque creemos que es injusto que nos suban una renta en donde no tenemos un buen servicio en los apartamentos, porque eso donde vivimos es como algo, no sé, como una trauma para mí, porque desde que yo me mudé, yo vivo con una trauma porque tengo niños pequeños y eso está lleno de animales y todo eso, y cuando uno llama para que necesita algo que vayan a hacer, ellos nunca atencionan ningún request.
My household has become a place of trauma. And why? Because my children have recently been having to be hospitalized because of the pest that's in our unit. And when we call management to do something about it, they tell us that they won't, that, it's not a priority and it doesn't make sense for them to continue increasing rent as high as they do when they don't give us any service.
Sí, y esperamos que, que las voces de nosotros sean escuchadas y nos puedan ayudar con todo esto, porque la situación que estamos viviendo, pues creo que es injusta.
And, because of this unjust situation that we're going through where we don't have any services and these high rental increases, I hope that you guys can listen to us and listen to our voices and pass rent stabilization.
Sí, porque si vieran cómo vivimos, bueno, en mi caso, yo puedo dar mi testimonio en donde yo vivo. Para mí es como una asquerosidad ese apartamento y ellos no se tocan el corazón y nos suben la renta y no atencionan a chequear qué necesitamos nosotros como alquilinos, y pues nosotros nos sacrificamos para pagar una renta, luchamos como hispanos a pagar una renta, pero lo hallamos tan injusto vivir de esta manera porque, como le repito, en mi caso pues yo tengo todas las pruebas y he llamado con ellos y lo que hacen es abochornarnos. No nos dan pues una respuesta buena o justa para que nosotros podamos tener una vivienda mejor.
Our community, is working class. We sacrifice a lot to be able to pay rents, and the rents are not cheap. They're not affordable for us, but we sacrifice what we need to make ends meet. And for them to not be conscious about where they have us living and just increase our rents, whatever amount they want, is not fair. And that's why I will continue giving my testimony as much as it's needed for us to get this law.
Sí. Bueno, esperamos en Dios y en ustedes que nos puedan ayudar y esperemos que todo salga bien.
I'm praying in God and in the council, right, that you guys will help us out and pass the law.
Muchas gracias por el testimonio, Rosa. tenemos que hablar contigo porque el departamento de código de la ciudad puede ayudar con eso. Y eso va para todos los personas que están rentando. Si no los escuchan en los edificios, el departamento de código de la ciudad, pueden llamarlos y ellos van a averiguar la situación. Así que por favor no quiero que se sientan que no hay recursos para poder acercarnos a ustedes también. So I mentioned to them that if something like that is going on, they need to reach out code and they have a way for code to be able to respond to them. But we definitely need to hear what else is going on in order for us to best help them out. They don't have to be living in bad conditions. Okay, let me see. La siguiente persona sería Rosa Vázquez. And council, I have 2 more speakers. Can I ask for 10 more minutes on the clock?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Abstention, objection? Hear none, put 10 more minutes on the clock, Melissa. Okay, señora Rosa Vázquez, del 4615 27th Street, el piso es suyo. The floor is yours.
Buenas noches, alcaldesa y concilio. Mi nombre es Rosa Vázquez, soy de Ecuador y vivo en el 4615 27 Street, apartamento 2.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Rosa. I am an immigrant from El Salvador, and I live in 27th Street.
Vivo allí en esa dirección desde hace 5 años, pero en Mount Rainier vivo desde hace 10 años. Me gusta esta ciudad.
I've been living in Mount Rainier for 10 years in total. In my current unit, I've been there for 5.
Soy madre soltera y tengo 5 hijos que me necesitan y dependen de mí.
I am a single mother of 5, and my children need me to be well.
A ellos les gusta esta ciudad también.
And my children are very favorable. They love the city.
Finalmente les pido que toquen sus corazones y piensen en nosotros, los inquilinos, pasen la ley de actualización, estabilización de renta y
I am asking that, because of the reasons of our family being here for a long time, because of, our connection to the city, because of our diverse cultures, please help the community stay the same. Please help us be able to continue in the community and pass rent stabilization law.
Porque yo pagaba $1,200 y ahora estoy pagando $1,300, me subieron $100.
Before I was paying $1,200, and now I received a $100 increase. I'm paying $1,300.
Y pues con mi sueldo no me alcanza porque solo gano nomás solo para pagar la renta.
And it's not fair that all of my work, all of the money I make at work goes straight to rent.
Por favor, les pido que pasen la ley de estabilización de renta. Gracias y tengan buenas noches.
Please, I'm asking that you guys pass rent stabilization. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, señora Rosa, por su mensaje. Y la próxima persona sería Mercedes Muñoz del 3616 Chelsea Place.
Mercedes had to step out, so she's not here.
Okay, so Jorge, can you get on screen? But I definitely wanted to ask just one clarity question. The increase was $100 per month, correct? That's what they're saying?
$100 por mes, los aumentos, ¿verdad? Yes.
Okay, so that way is clear. And if you could help us just for a little longer, if council has a question from the tenants, if you could help us with the translation on the other end, we'd definitely appreciate it. Okay? Thank you, Jorge. You have a pretty cool last name. I'll just say that. All right. So I'm gonna open the floor up with there's gonna be Jimmy, Luke, and Jared. Go ahead, council members. Jimmy, the floor is yours.
I just want to thank everybody for coming and speaking and talking about their concerns. You were very articulate and passionate, and I hope very soon, with the mayor's leadership, we will be able to pass a rent stabilization ordinance.
Okay, thank you for translating simultaneously, Jorge. All right, so Luke, the floor is yours.
Just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your lives to advocate for yourselves. Change
He's
doesn't.
translating at speed.
Yep, change doesn't happen until unless people stand up and say things like this. We all support the mayor's efforts to support you for rent stabilization. We're going to do everything we can to pass a law, but we're limited in what we can do as a municipality. So while the mayor is going to make sure that we pass whatever law we can, it will be limited. It will not be able to prevent rent increases, but it will be able to put pressure on the management company so that they can't make as high rent increases as they may want to. So thank you again, and we will be working on this with the mayor's leadership.
Okay, thank you so much, Luke. Jared, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for coming tonight and taking time out of your busy lives. We know it's really appreciate hearing these concerns and these challenges you've been facing. It's really important hearing it directly from you and your families on the things you've been experiencing. That helps us understand very clearly what's going on and more importantly, what the personal impacts are. So, you know, as Luke and Jimmy said, you know, the council is going to work together with the mayor and see what next possible steps we can take to help address this, issue and to see what we can do to ease the burdens on your family and your community. Thank you so much again.
So, yo lo voy a decir en español, Jorge, y lo voy a traducir en inglés. Okay. Primero, muchas gracias por estar aquí. Yo sé que está bien noche y yo sé que ustedes tienen que trabajar y tienen sus familias. So apreciamos que hayan venido en frente del consejo y mi persona también para dejarnos saber qué está pasando. Como sí les dije, si las condiciones en los apartamentos no están bien, por favor, mándenos mensaje para poder investigar lo que está pasando, porque tienen derechos viviendo ahí también. A la misma vez vamos a trabajar mucho en lo que podamos hacer del lado de nosotros, la ciudad va a pasar la estabilización de la renta y ver qué podemos hacer también a lo que viene a protección a las personas que están rentando, porque también es parte de lo que queremos hacer, no solo la estabilización. Entonces necesitamos que ustedes continúen abogando por esto para que no se descargue de las agendas, que sea importancia, pero a la misma vez que también acerquen a otras personas de los apartamentos cercanos también para que así trabajemos juntos y así podamos ayudar en esta situación. Ok, así que vamos a empezar a trabajar el documento. Casa, muchas gracias también. Y así de esta manera ver qué podemos poner para la próxima reunión para que el consejo pueda empezar a trabajar esto con nuestro equipo legal. Ok, y a la misma vez abocar a seguir trabajando con las otras ciudades para asegurar que ellos también apoyen estos esfuerzos, porque sabemos que no solo son exclusivos solo de Rainier, sino que también se extiende a otras ciudades. Okay, así que muchas gracias, buenas noches y muchas bendiciones por estar aquí con nosotros. Okay, nos mantendremos en contacto. So I basically say I thank them because I know they have families and work and everything else, and it's really a night for them to be here, for advocating for themselves, and also for making us aware of the situation that's happening. and if the situation they're living is not good, they need to let us know, because they do have rights as tenants, and we do have the Department of Code that will definitely be able to help and find out what's going on. At the same time, to continue being active and advocate and make sure they do not let go of this fight, and we'll do as much as we can legally to make sure that we're able to do rent stabilization, but also tenant protections that go on it, and also work with the other cities that are working on this to make sure this is taking place. And also that we know that this is not a bubble that's only happening in Rainier, but we definitely want to make sure we take care of the people here in Rainier, and also work with the other cities, and anything they need to reach out to us, we're here available. And I said good night, and many, many blessings to them and their family. Okay. All right, so gracias, Jorge, and also thank Casa and Jorge. And the next step for me will be like putting legislation in front of you guys for us and our team to be able to review it and figure out what could be done. Okay. That was for you. That was well, que escuchaste, Jorge, and then eso traducírselos. I told him to translate it. All right, and Council, do you have anything else to add? Is there any other member of the community that wishes to speak on this subject? Let us know. All right, I see nothing here. Jared, anything on social media? All right, thank you so much. All right, thank you guys, and thank you to all of our speakers. Some of the items are very hot buttons, and I know rent stabilization is definitely one of them. All right, moving on to item number 9, discussion on the applications received for the Police Review and Advisory Board. The mayor and council will have a discussion on the applications received the Police Review and Advisory Board. Melissa, can you put the names up? Melissa, thank you so much. There's a small delay on my end, Melissa. So my apologies if I asked you more than once. All right, so here is everybody from Ward 1, Nicholas Lee, Intisar Hamid, Shadner Robinson, Ward 2, Dan Green, Nathan Warner, Shavali Shah, Valerie Selinsky. Apartments, you have Tony George. If you see something right next to us, what other commissions they represent? Melissa, I know we heard from Sharnette and Valerie about sitting their seats if they get appointed. Do we hear anything about from Tony?
Yes, we did. So we got from all 3 members.
All right, so they will have to seat their seats in the other committees if they are appointed. Tonight, we are not going to be appointing anybody else. We just want to make sure we make it public that this is the people that they're on it. So the way it basically works for the Police Advisory Board, we'll be selecting 2 members from Ward 1, 2 members from Ward 2, and 1 for the apartments, and that's up to. Council is welcome to, if they choose to, like, it's up to 2, but if they feel like they're gonna do 1, 2, or 3, or 5, that's fine as well. I want to make sure that is an option. That was one of the questions that was definitely asked for one of the residents, and I said, yeah, it's if they decide to reopen it and get more people for a different batch, that's also an option for them to do as well. All right.
Could you explain that, Mayor? Mayor, just repeat what you just said.
Basically, if you guys choose, right, to say, hey, this is an example, we want 2 from Ward 1, 1 from Ward 2, and nothing from the apartments as an example, then that's your call as well. What I'm basically saying is, like, this poll is not limited to what you guys could pick. If you guys choose to pick 1 from each, or you guys decide to not to vote on any of them, the option is yours.
Okay. But not more than, okay.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's not like it's, if the council decides to do that, yes, and that's answering one of the residents' question. I also send it to you guys as well, because that was addressed to me. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Just like any of it, it's like the recommendations are put in front of us, and we could choose to elect all 5 or as many of them are. And if we do not have the fulfill the vacancies, then we will open it back again. For any of the members of that are part of a commission, they already agree, all 3 of them, that they will resign if they do get appointed. And if that is the case, we will have openings in those committees. So be aware, community, in case you're interested in any of the committees that are going to have an opening. Okay. All right, council, you saw the names in front of you. In the past, we basically have presented them. You reach out to the clerk to let them know who is it that you select. Majority, the people with the majority of the votes, which in each of the wards and the apartments will get, Melissa will put a list together of who got most of the votes, and they will reach out to, and they will let us know, and then they'll reach out to, they will reach out, how do you call it, to the candidates, so that way they get sworn in the legislative meeting in December. Okay. Council, any questions about procedure, process, or anything?
Yeah, I just, are we gonna like, I haven't been in how you've done this before. I mean, do you have like a Ward 1 that people will have all hands for Nick, all hands for Indusar, all hands for Shawnette, or how do you proceed?
No.
I heard what you said, but I wasn't quite sure. Or is it gonna be like a written thing or what?
Basically, you reach out to the clerk and you let her know who are your people, and then she'll compile the list together and share it with the rest of us. So that's basically how we done it when we had a big amount of people to go on it, because although they're here, it's like we are making them all public, right?
Right. So we're just going to announce. We're just going to announce at the next meeting what the votes were from people in the council.
Yeah, she'll let us know ahead of time, right? And then she also will reach out to like let the people that are in the list know that they've been appointed, so that way they are aware in case they're welcome to say like, you know what, I changed my mind, like, and then we will have to figure out what to do from that point on, right? But usually we do it like that. We don't go like I guess it's just easier, so that way like you're able to do your own analysis and figure out what it is, and gives you a little bit more time to also research in anybody or what your thoughts are, people. Okay.
So
all right.
One last thing, Mayor, just maybe Melissa could just send us an email saying that by a certain date, please let us know up to 2 in Ward 1, up to 2 in Ward 2, up to 1 apartments, who you're voting for. That makes sense?
Yeah, so I will say, because this Friday, it's not gonna be this Friday. So Melissa, I think by next, it could be by next Tuesday. Do remember that Thanksgiving is next weekend. So as long as it's a week before the meeting, so that way she has enough time to reach out to them and invite them to the meeting and get their information about whether or not they're still interested. That should be fine. So if you guys could submit the names by next Wednesday, that will work. So that way, it gives enough time for Melissa to reach out to them the following week, right? But the reality is like you guys could wait not this Monday, but the following Monday, because nobody's going to be opening emails during Thanksgiving or calling people for that. That's the reality. I don't expect our team to be calling people during Thanksgiving as the people are eating their dinner. All right. So let's make it not this Monday, but next for us to submit names. You know what day that is, Melissa? Send us an email with it, Melissa. We're not going to keep you up like and looking for the day, okay?
And Valerie isn't here too, so it'd be nice to have an email just saying what she should do.
Yeah. So not this Monday, but next Monday to submit them, okay? Melissa?
It's going to be the 28th, but I will send an email to Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Melissa. So you guys heard more or less. Let's just say the date, the up to, and then you guys could let her know what you choose to do. Okay. All right. Anything about process, procedure, or questions, Council? Or we're good? Thumbs up if you're good, so we could move on. Jared, Jimmy, how are you? Good. Thank you, Jared. Luke, good. Jimmy.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. All right. So moving on to the next item on the agenda. Ooh. My eyes. Okay, there. There you go. Update discussion on Potts Hall. City manager will give us an update on the proposals received for Potts Hall. project, 20 minutes. Go ahead, Mr. Kamali, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So, based on the direction from Mayor and Council, we put the RFP out on August 11 to receive proposals for construction of or renovation of the pothole. On September 22, we received the four bids, as you see it in the table, for the 4 different contractors. And we invited them to the City Hall on October 5th because they sent us by email. So it was not delivered by mail, it was by email. So we invited the contractors to the city and we shared the information with them. As you see it, Monarch, Doyle, Land Rover, and Copper Building, 4 contractors. And then we share the same information with the contractors, which was the construction document drawings, specifications, and all the instructions. And we gave them time to, if they have any questions. And we received the question and architects responded to all the question. We shared the question and make sure that responded in the timely manner. And then I worked with the architects and reviewing four proposals that we had. And if you look, 2 of them way above the price that we were looking. So we did not really spend that much time with the 2 that one of them is 6.8 and the other one is 8.7 million. So we focused on the first 2, Monarch and Doyle. And as you see, their price is 5.9 and the other one is 5.990, and the difference is only $80,000 if I'm not mistaken. But looking at the Monarch, we check all the qualification and the references. And the reason that we use Monarch because the city code refers us to the lowest responsible bid. So since Monarch has the lowest one, I spent time with the architects and we reviewed their proposal. We checked their references, and we made a recommendation to council that based on the information that we have on hand, I believe that Monarch should be aware that the contract. We even talked to them and we asked them if they could phase the contract, the work, and they provided us the information which is stated at the end of this letter that they could only go to phase 1 and phase 2 with the minimum, maximum gap of 2 or 3 months. So as you see it, we provided the information on the reference in this letter, and also we have the phasing information. And also I have the architects on the call. If mayor and council or anybody has any question, we'll be glad to answer your question.
Okay, so I'm gonna go Jared, Jimmy, and Luke this time around. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kamali. So I want to understand a little bit better, like this phase 1 and phase 2 piece. Does doing phase 1 obligate us to do phase 2? First off, does it contractually obligate us to do phase 2? Secondly, is there a contractual requirement that has to begin once within a certain period of time? Because it looks like what Monarch has said is that we are able to delay it. We're able to have a gap between phase 1 and phase 2, but it sounds like really there's not really 2 separate phases. It's just kind of one long project with basically 2 kind of components.
May I say?
Yeah.
Hold on. Jared, go ahead. Are you done with your question?
Yeah, sorry, just one. Let's see. Sorry, I'm sorry when you interrupted me, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
It's okay. Sorry, go ahead and answer. Let me try to remember what my question was.
Well,
Just
okay, I appreciate that, and I will turn this question to the architects because he's directly involved in the drawings, and they phase 1 and phase 2 to do the phase 1, all the exterior work that we can do, and then whatever is left for the interior work could be done in phase 2, but the entire project is going to take only 1 year. So, and they said they could just, stretch it for 2 or 3 months without any increase in their price. We could stop at the phase 1 and then later on go back and again, get the proposal for phase 2, and we're gonna have a different, proposal and pricing for it.
Okay,
May I
that
just say something?
Oh, wait,
I
hold
hope
on.
that
Jared,
answered your question because I'm just trying
hold
to.
Hold on, Mr. Kamali. Jared, does that addresses your question? Is there something else you need from that question?
Yeah. Sorry, I remembered what my previous question was. So that makes it more clear. So again, there are 2 phases. Phase 1 is the weather-tight exterior shell.
Mhm.
Phase 2, if we choose to move forward with it, or if we are able to move forward with it, we'd ideally need to do it within 2 to 3 months, where in which the price would be able to be held the same. If for some reason we're able to not move forward, those phases could be discrete. So we could do phase 1, and if we're unable at the time to obtain additional construction funding, we'd be able to have phase 1 be a standalone, just, and pursue phase 2 as when we could. So that was my first question. It sounds like that's the clarity you gave me. And the second question, and I'm sorry, now I remember what I was going to ask. What was the price breakdown between phase 1 and phase 2?
Well, we talked to them and we told them that right now we got, 3.25, available, 3.25 million. And, but they need to do more research. This is just, right now they're saying that they are willing to do 2 or 3 months, but they could get to more detail. And I will ask Howard, if Howard is on call, that he can, weigh in. Howard, are you in?
Yes, I am in. Thank you.
Go ahead, Howard.
Hi, just to reiterate what Mr. Kamali said, the contractor did break down the 5.9 number into phase 1 and phase 2. Not exactly as we had asked them to do, which was to do the 3.2 and then the difference in phase 2. Their number, they were under the impression that there would be possibly another million coming sometime in 2023 in the first half. And they thought therefore that the phase 1 could be, let's say 4.2. But we could go back to them and say, no, we'd have to do a contract for 3.2 and then another contract once they get to that completion or that close in for the difference. And that's the way I was under the impression, Mr. Kamali, you thought we wanted to go. So that could be clarified with them. But like Mr. Kamali said, if we wait more than 2 or 3 months between 1 and 2, there likely will be a cost increase. Right, they could not guarantee cost. So that's the way we explained how you'd like it. And it seemed like they were amenable to that scenario.
So it sounds like the bulk of the, if I were to just kind of ballpark, and that's what I was trying to get at, not like I don't understand exact numbers. been an organization that's done large public works projects before. It's, I
Okay.
know this is a little bit of a, there's some magic associated with just, it's hard to get exact numbers. It sounds like around 50 to 60% of
Yeah,
the cost is roughly in phase one, and then
that's what we were shooting for. We didn't do we didn't do a breakdown, or they didn't do a breakdown saying this is what will be done. Well, this is exactly what will get done in phase one, and this will get done in phase two. Because who knows whether it'll work out exactly like that, but we're confident that, I mean, typically when you're ready to hang drywall, you're 50% complete.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that typically means you're closed in. So just a rule of thumb, it seems like it could work. But obviously you don't want it to sit that long because it's not going to be conditioned necessarily. And so we'd like to get it going, within that 2 or 3 month period, if the funds are not available.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Mr. Kamali, was the hand raised to address anything
Yeah, I
else?
just want to mention something, Mayor. I just want to add to Howard that they are having, some subcontractors. So that's their problem, that they cannot guarantee more than 2 or 3 months. So that's another issue, that Monarch is working with the sub, and they cannot hold the prices more than 2 or 3 months.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Jared, does that cover yours for right now?
it does. Yeah, thank you for taking my questions at length.
All
Appreciate it.
right, perfect. Jimmy and then Luke. Or was it Luke, Jimmy? My apologies, getting late.
I think
Jimmy, go ahead.
Yeah, I apologize for interrupting. So I'm quite ready to go with Monarch. I had raised issue that we couldn't commit to the whole money if we didn't have the money, then we could get sued. So we can only really commit to the money that we've already appropriated, which is like $3 million. And then hopefully when we get close to that, we either decide that we can get the other money or we have a half finished project. But that's why there are two parts to the thing. We hope that we will be able to get more money from the state, $1 million, and from other money, and if necessary reserves, but we couldn't commit to the whole thing if we don't have the money appropriate for that, because then we could get sued for that. So anyway, I like the idea of the two parts. I like the idea of being able to, hopefully we get enough money and we can move on to part two without an increase of cost. But if worst case scenario, we don't have it, then we have at least a shell, and we, figure out how do we raise the money for the second part. So thank you for Mr. Kamali. That's not Jill, but that's Howard. And you should change your name. But thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Yeah, I was like, you're not Jill. Howard, you're like lying to us.
How to change
Jill
it,
is
Howard?
on the call too. She's on the call too, man.
Jill's here.
Are you there quietly over there? We don't see you.
I'm here. He's just using my computer.
Oh, that's what it is. You're
There you are.
incognito, Jill.
Yeah.
We see you now. We see at least the sweater now. All right, Luke, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Just so I understand, so we're gonna go. I'm comfortable with going ahead with Monarch as long as it's as Jimmy said. We would have to enter into a contract that would not bind us to completing phase two because we don't have that funding yet. We could only do phase one, assuming that cost is within the $3 million we have, and then there'd have to be an option that we could exercise to do phase two within X months at Y price. And that would have to just be an option. And so I guess the consideration for the option would then be holding the price for a certain time period. Is that the way I'm understanding the way the contract would work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Kamali, is that clear?
Well, yes, I hope so. And Howard, Anything else you want to add to that?
Well, I don't know if this is my place, but it would be nice to know what that number exactly is.
Yeah, for sure.
So we could tell them, listen, we need the contract written for this number. Tell us what we're going to get for this number. And then we'll write it up that way, or we'll draw it up that way, or because sometimes during construction, they'll say, oh, well, you put this in already. Well, that was not part of the phase one. Well, we either say, well, that's too bad, or oh, we'll have to pay them for that. So that we don't really want to get into a who struck John thing. We'd like to spell it all out and make sure that all the subs know what's in and what's out, or what's in one and what's in two. So we don't, and then one sub might come back and say, wait a minute, we need this in one because you're going to pour concrete over it. So that type of thing. So there will be issues, but if we could know what the number is, we could assign everything that's going to be done under that number, and then just keep an eye on it and make sure we don't do something we weren't supposed to, or vice versa. I don't know, how do you feel about this?
So Luke, I see you have something else to follow up. At least
Well,
you
I
seem
would
to be like,
I would just say, it sounds like what needs to happen is Kamali knows the number that we have. I think we talked about it. It's 3.2 or whatever.
Yeah,
3.5. 3.5. So, you just have to work with our city attorney to make sure that the contract is what we need it to say. And you need to advise Kamali and the city attorney on what it should say. Obviously, we wouldn't want to go up to 3.2 on the dot. We'd want to leave some contingency in place. And I want it to make sense too. If the phase one is the exterior shell and it only comes out to 2 or whatever, we can work with that. But I don't know, maybe that doesn't make sense. Maybe go up to the full dollar we can spend and see what we get, and then hold the option. I'm gonna leave that to you and the city attorney, you being Mr. Kamali, and the architects, Jill and Howard, to figure that out. I'm down for supporting this under the basic premise that we are only obligating what we can spend, which is the 3.5, whatever that buys us in a phase one, great, with an option to finish that can be exercised at a later date and is open for some set amount of time.
Okay.
Thanks, Mayor.
I just want to say
that I think the contractors typically want to know that you have the money for the contract. So they don't want to sign a contract unless they know all the money is there. So this sounds good.
thank you, Howard and Jill. Melissa, can you put the bracket where the money was at down, please? The bids. Thank you. Thank you so much, Melissa. Okay, so Mr. Kamali, I know you said that part of the city was to go after the lowest amount.
Yes.
It's not always necessarily. I think it depends what it brings, right? So one of the questions that was asked, that I'm asking is, what was the difference that Doily and Monarch brought, and when it came to the price difference, like, why is it that they were charging more? Do you inquire why, and would they be able to match Monarch? Would they even be open to?
It's not fair.
Could I jump in on that?
Yeah, I'll let Howard answer that.
Hey, Howard.
Okay. Here's what happened. I asked Monarch through email and Doyle to value engineer their number. I gave them a list of, because we were over budget, I gave them a list of, I don't know, 10, 11 items. And Monarch came back with a number that got it down to 5.3. And Doyle said they were not interested in doing that because they were not the low bidder. And they thought that that was not allowed. when there's money involved from the state. And I didn't really go back to them. I just went ahead with Monarch and waited for their number.
Never got back.
They didn't, I guess they were not interested. And so that's how it shook out.
I think they actually told me that you can't do that. The state of Maryland required you to take the lowest qualified bidder. So they just decided they're not gonna, they didn't even get back to us and say, no, I'm not gonna do it, thanks, but no. And I thought that was a rule too, quite honestly, so.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for that, because the problem sometimes I feel like when going with the lowest bidder, then some people try to do that and then be like, and we need to add up this extra cost, right? So it's not always upfront the lowest bidder. So that's what I wanted to know, what the comparison was between prices. If, let's say, they'll offer more things, let's say, but thank you, Howard, for clarifying what is it that you asked them, right? If they were offering 3 more different things that we need, right?
Right.
And the price, averages to be the other one lower, it makes sense, right? That was one of the things that I had, because they're so close. I mean, the other ones I see is like a whole entire different amount different, and why they price it like that, only they know. But okay, thank you for clarifying that for me, because I do have to do my due diligence in asking that question.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. So I think the rest of the council has stated very clearly what some were when it came to phase 1 and phase 2, and what it is and how we're tied to it. Because yes, we are seeking more funding, and if this contract, we're approving it by this, we're approving the fact to move forward with one of them. In this case, will be Monarch, right? By December, that means construction is not going to be happening until next year, because obviously the weather, right? Which puts us at a good range, and hopefully that we get the answer for the other money, and for it to be accessible coming up, and figure out what else needs to be done. So I think is doable, and I think council has been very clear about how they feel about the 2 phases, and how work with legal to make sure we get the right information. Usually she's pretty good at drawing the contracts. You guys will work with her and make sure that we're able to get the number up to, and I will say that we're up to the amount, not the amount down to the dot, in order for us to have flexibility in case the outsiders steer it's X whatever, right? And if they, let's say for whatever, the extra X amount of money, 2 point something, and they're like, as they're building, they could be like, okay, we could move forward to phase 2, to do X, Y, and Z to cover this, and it'll be up to 3.5. That gives us also that flexibility in case it's needed, as they're doing X work. Okay. So council, I'm gonna ask you guys one more time if there's anything else you guys would like to add. So that way, hold on 1 second. If anything you guys would like to add, do remember you have 2 minutes on the clock this time around. And I'm being a little more, Melissa put 2 clocks on each of them because it's 9:45, okay? So I'm gonna start with Jared, Jimmy, and Luke, if you have anything, let me know. Jared, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Kamali.
Hold on 1 second. Council, can you guys put 5 minutes on the clock? Melissa, I apologize, I missed that one. 5 minutes on the clock.
I moved 5 more minutes. Okay.
Properly moved and seconded. Discussion, objection, abstentions. Hearing none, Melissa, we have 4 more minutes on the clock. Go ahead, Jared. My apology.
Yeah, no, just no, thank you for the clarity on that. I'm all in favor of the approach we've laid out that I think obligates us. Lets us pursue phase 1, does not obligate us to do phase 2, but separates it in a way that we can move forward when we have the resources. This is a project that we obviously want to move forward on. So it is really important. Yeah, Mr. Kamali, I had been a little bit confused earlier because I mean, typically public works projects, we did a bunch when I was in California, which has a much more strict state public works regulatory regime and laws. But I was a little surprised because typically public works are usually IFBs, low bid, lowest bid that's technically responsive. So I would think that Monarch is the one that we would have to go with, and that if we've segmented the project, or pieced out pricing in there appropriately, we're able to adjust and do things and just, that's an oversight thing that you need to be able, just have to be able to manage, contractors' change orders and attempts to make change orders and oversee what's appropriate, what's not. And I would just ask that you, this is a very large project for the city, very large capital project. Please work very closely with Alyssa everywhere needed in order to, when you're drawing up the contract, when you're working on this, in order to protect the city and our, funding and the oversight that's going to come with federal and state money in this. So thank you.
I just wanted to add that Mr. Kamali.
Thank you, Jared. Jimmy?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Howard.
I'm sorry, I was out of line there. Mr. Kamali, I just want to confirm that Monarch indicated they would hold their number till the end of the year.
Yes.
So ideally, we'd like to get a contract executed by the end of the year. That doesn't mean we have to start by the end of the year, but just want to avoid having them, and I don't think they will, but having them say, well, it's been 2 months since we told you we would hold our number. Now things may change. So just wanted to reiterate that.
Yeah, so the clock will start once the contract.
Yeah.
So the clock will start once the contract is signed. That's what you're saying.
And they'd like it signed by December 29th or something, I think it was.
It was December 31st, but we would like to do it sooner. We don't want to wait until the last minute if mayor and council approve it.
So, Mayor?
Go ahead,
Okay.
JB, the first. I'm sorry.
So, no, I just, to follow up on that, I know it's a rush, but, if you could, Mr. Kamali, follow up with Alyssa and make sure that we get all the appropriate papers we need for a resolution to do this, and whether we need a hearing or anything else. And so we can, if we have a special meeting or something, so we get this, done, at the legislative session in December. So we have everything, lined up so we can vote on it. That's all. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Jimmy. Luke, anything to add to, make sure I call on you?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So I guess, reach out to Alyssa to all the procedures to make sure we don't get caught up on that. And even if we vote on the 25th to move forward, and if you need the extra week to get whatever paperwork is or two, that's fine. It's two different things, but definitely I want to make sure that clock doesn't start running like on the 15th, and there's nothing for us to do until March of next year, because that's when building, I think, will start after the winter. I don't want it to be that 2 months that we're talking about. It's like December or January, February by default. So thank you, Howard and Jill, also for making sure you're helping advise us through this process. All right, so Mr. Kamali, do you have any questions about what we have said to you?
No, the only thing that I wanted to be clear, the available fund is 3.25. It's not 3.5 since we're on the record. I just want to, make sure that this is the number that we have right now.
Up to, yeah. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Constantine, we'll be moving on to the next item, okay? If any other questions you guys have, like send to Kamali, and Howard and Jill as well. All right, so thank you, Melissa. All right, moving on to item number 11. So by 7, 8, 9. So by council rules, I'm supposed to have check on you guys at 9:30. It's almost 10 o'clock. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items on the deck, okay? Just be aware of that in order for us to complete this meeting, the adjournment, they better do it fast. They have like 5 seconds. All right, so I would say keep in mind that you have 3 minutes to speak on your comments, and if you don't need the 3 minutes, reduce it. All right, so moving on to the next item, discussion on animal ordinance for the city. The mayor and council will have discussion on the animal ordinance for the city. And I do have Director of Code on the line, Alma. The floor is yours.
I actually think it was my point
Alma,
on the
if you're
agenda.
speaking, you're
Mayor.
on mute.
Mayor, I think it was my point on the agenda.
I mean, you could say, but remember this, if you're gonna do the introduction, then you're at the end of the list of all of us to speak. That's basically what we've been doing. All right, Jimmy,
Well,
go ahead and do the 1 minute introduction.
I had, and I don't think we have a lot of time, I don't know how many people looked at it, but there've been a lot of complaints about between loud barking noises and aggressive dogs. And somebody told me that Brentwood had an ordinance that addressed some of those things. And I, thought that maybe it's something that we should consider. I'm not sure we have full time to discuss it tonight. So maybe we could do it at a future meeting. I know I sent it to the chief and to Alma as well as to the council members. It's a pretty long ordinance, and I can share the screen and share it, but I was just kind of wondering if there are any comments, and maybe we could move it to the December work session.
Do you want to move it to a different work session, Jimmy? We'll put it
Well,
on
I was
top of
wondering
the
see if
agenda.
it's.
Is that what you're asking?
Well, I was saying rather than have a full discussion today because it is running late. I was wondering if the chief and the code enforcement director had any comments, and then we could kind of review it more carefully at the December meeting.
Yes, Jimmy, Chief Austin here.
So
Good evening, everyone.
Can you put it on the screen?
If I can share
Hello,
the screen.
Chief. Give me 1 second, Chief. Melissa, can you put the document up on the screen? If Melissa has it or no?
If you let me share the screen,
Melissa, do you have the document?
Jimmy, you have host control now. You can share your screen, Jimmy.
Okay.
Sorry, Mayor, I was on mute.
Here it is. So it's it's pretty long, but basically the thing is that that dangerous or dog or noisy dog. Let me find the actual part of it where it's about 2 pages long, but it basically is saying, oh, here it is. No owner shall fail to provide effective care of a dog that's biting people, making noise, and it allows the city to actually make it a violation of city code. So anyway, I sent it to the chief and I sent it to the code enforcement. I was wondering, but have any comments? And it's also something that I think people in the community will want to weigh in. So we may want to have a public session on this because it will be somewhat controversial.
Thank you, Jimmy. Chief, the floor is yours.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager, and residents. I got a great email from Alma and Lieutenant Calloway, and I have both of them online. They're gonna express some of their responses that they sent me as well. So Alma, Lieutenant Calloway.
Good evening. Go first, Alma.
Go ahead, you guys.
Good
Alma.
evening, Mayor and Council.
Go ahead, Alma.
Thank you for having us tonight. We just had a reading of the information that was sent from Brentwood, and just a recap. All I share with the chief and Lieutenant Calloway is that our ordinance is a little less descriptive, I guess, on the matter of when it comes to like a dangerous animal or dangerous dogs. So that was my input on that. And we definitely agreed that, we would probably have to work on it a little bit more when it comes to comparing it to the one in Brentwood.
All right, thank you, Lieutenant.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to add, like Alma says, very broad from our ordinance. There's a couple things I think we definitely should add in there. One, we don't have anything that really cites or holds anyone responsible for violating any of these policies. So any penalties or anything like that, that we catch anybody that's let's say their dog bites another dog or bites a human being, our citizens wouldn't be able to see, or any violators wouldn't be able to see any penalties or fines in our ordinance. And going over Brentwoods, they definitely have that there, and I think they should definitely know or understand what the violations are. There's also other things like their dogs or cats being licensed through the county. That's something that we don't have in ours as well. I think we could add that in there. And also what Councilmember Tarlow said was just really specific definition of what a vicious animal is. So I think if we go and add some of that in there, it can make our ordinance a little bit better.
Okay, thank you both. Council, I'm gonna open it up to you, Luke, Jared.
No, I appreciate you, Jimmy, bringing this up and getting direction from staff. I think in light of incidents around the city, it's warranted to see if we can get something more clear in our code about situations that are putting people really in harm's way. So definitely willing to talk about it more in another session because I haven't taken a good look at the legislation yet.
Thank you, Luke. Jared.
Yeah, no, I thank you for putting this, bring this to Council Jimmy, and for Alma and Lieutenant Callaway for bringing your thoughts and feedback tonight. I think it's certainly important to maybe have something that can give our police and code staff, some ability to kind of, maybe address some of the challenges that occur sometimes in our community. The one thing when I'm looking at that ordinance, and I'm, as you guys know, I've been chatting about trying to think about a bamboo ordinance as well. And one of the challenges I think we kind of hit when we're looking at language like this is kind of like, where does kind of an issue that is kind of transgress into being like a problem, right? And like, where do you kind of draw the line on like, and I'm looking at item A, and I'm just kind of thinking from, the police standpoint or code standpoint, trying to, it's clear if like a dog's molesting a passerby, right? But like, what is, I think excessive barking is kind of in the eye of the beholder. So I would want to, like, if we write something, we need to make sure it's tight and like, not just like a Brentwood, but actually maybe look at bigger cities and larger cities that have done this for some years and how they've done it, because I don't want to give you guys, I don't think we should put something in legislation or create some new code that is so squishy that it creates challenges for our staff to implement, or puts them in the way of kind of making a value judgment every single time because the language is too squishy. So that's just my feedback, but I appreciate it. And I think this issue is
Thank you, Jared. So thank you, Jimmy, for bringing it up, and also Chief Lieutenant Alma for some of the feedback. I definitely will echo Jared's remarks to see what other ones are out there, because two things are brought into mind. One, I know that Mount Rainier has moved heavily away from citing things that the county cites in order for the resident not to have to pay 2 fees, but just one. So that's something to keep in mind. What does that look like for the county? If there are citation fees for the county, how does that reflect with us? And if that's the thing, then have the county be the one, the citation, if we report it kind of like we currently do with like 311, right? The other thing ahead is the training. What does it mean for officers and code when it comes to training to be able to identify some of these things and even deal with these issues, right? So if you guys could also let us know what that means when it comes to how will these issues be addressed, right? And what training is needed, equipment and and other stuff in order for them to be addressed. As that means like you guys just go to the location, put a citation and kind of walk away kind of thing, right? To do other important things. Or does this mean, as some residents, sometimes feel that you guys need to grab the animal and put yourself in risk? I don't particularly think that that's something that you guys can do. There's no training, no equipment, everything else, and this is why the department that is housed in the county deals with. So I want to make sure that we do not overextend ourselves to what this is and it's not, but definitely look at other ordinance to figure out what it looks like, because having a dog bark at you when you're walking by the house is like a normal thing for dogs to do, right? If you're putting your hand inside to try to pet them and they bite you, right? Like, are you supposed to be trespassing, right? That's the other thing that somebody brought up to me. Like, you're going to their territory, right? So who's at fault there? The person that put their hand in over the gate, right? And this animal bit them or started barking at them, or is it the other way around? So I think there's a lot of leeway for us to discuss, and I'll quiet down. It's already 10:03. Let's have it at the for work session and bring some of those thoughts, ideas, and other ordinance from other cities and how they address some of those questions that we have. Okay.
I'd be, Mayor.
Go ahead, Jimmy, you're next.
I'd just be willing to, if it's all right, to volunteer to work with Lieutenant Callaway and Alma to see if we could kind of look at that ordinance, what's the vision, and then bring it back to a December or January work session after we get some input from other, you raise good questions, but maybe between the lieutenant and Alma and myself, we could kind of come up with something that looks better and then bring it back to a future session. That's all right with the council.
I think collectively we have said yes, bring it to a different work session. And yeah, we'll figure out what other questions there is, or council, if there's something else that you see they have a question about, just send it to Jimmy's way. You can always see the rest of us. We just cannot collectively answer. That's the only difference. So that we're not asking the same question. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Jimmy. And thank you, team. Whew, thank you for spending the night with us. All right, so next item, the agenda. Oh my goodness. Item number
ARPA.
12, ARPA discussion and update. What do you guys want to do?
I'd like to skip it. I don't want to do that. I'm running out of steam here.
Okay. All right, guys, can we just skip it for the next meeting? Skip it.
Absolutely.
Good. Thumbs up. All right, good. Item number 13, we're just gonna put them up there because I'm supposed to read them, but I'm gonna read them very fast. This was our very small proclamations. Okay. Go ahead, Melissa. Can you put them on the screen so that way we could say they were there? The Municipal Government Works Month is something that we do every November, and it allows for us to be able to collect points towards our banner city, right? So it basically says the city of Rainier is one of 157 Maryland municipalities, whereas represents the most responsible level of government. Keep going all the way to the bottom, Melissa. The city of Rainier remains right there. Maintains municipal facilities, streets, sidewalks, parks, nature areas, collects, refuse, and recycle, clears snow, leaves, manages water, storm, and everything else. It is an effort to educate the residents about municipal government and the importance of active and informed participation by the residents. And it's been signed. We sign this every year. Every Wednesday minimum, communications team will put MGW month. That's Municipal Government Works Month as part of our commitment to be able to let people know that municipal government works and we're working for them. All right. So that's the proclamation. Is going to be all over our social media. And this be able to complete one of the key elements of Banner City, which is like a national, a state recognition we get by the governor for making sure that we let residents know that municipalities are actively working. All right, can you put the other one, Melissa, please? The other one is the Small Business Month. Every year they reach out to us to let us know this Small Business Saturday is here and is declared November 26th. Small Business Saturday in order to incentivize, inform our community and other members of the that like to shop, that they should shop local, and our city is participating. And this is like a nationwide participation effort. They do put this information on the website. On their website, we'll put it on ours, basically as incentivizing residents to come and do small local shopping on November 26th. And you guys could read the whole entire resolution of proclamation, I apologize, on our website, and you guys got it in your package. So basically, you hear, although we're asked, 79% of the consumers understand the importance of supporting small business. And we are, Rainier's very much strong small business. Can you put it up to the bottom, Melissa? The whereas? Whereas I say, so therefore, we are declaring November 26th Small Business Month, and we're encouraging our residents to shop local, shop small in the city of Rainier. Okay? No questions? Thank you. All right. Thank you, Melissa. So they're signed and they'll go up and they'll be shared. All right. Thank you so much. Budget amendment discussion, 15 minutes. The mayor and council will have a budget amendment discussion on police officers' cars. Chief, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager, and residents. I'll be quick. I want to leave plenty of time for questions from Mayor and Council. We're desperately in need of new police cars for our aging fleet. Currently, we have 4 cars, at least 4 that are over 120,000 miles. Normally, when we look at vehicle replacement, we look at 6 years, 120,000. As early as last week, we had absolutely no additional cars. Currently, we have 1 spare car. We have 17 cars, emergency vehicles in our patrol fleet. We have 1 hybrid, and we have a 5-year plan that we're looking at as far as the lease purchase of 5 vehicles. And the 5 annual payments would be $49,250.70 per year. And currently our vehicles range in age from 2011 to 2022. As you know, we have that 1 hybrid. Unfortunately, over the past year, we've lost 2 vehicles total due to collisions, and funding for these vehicles. We have a payment of $36,000 from Legit for for the hybrid, the 2021, that could go towards assisting us with these lease payments. We're receiving another $20,000 from Legit for the 2019 that we lost a few months ago. Also in our SAP grant, which is our state aid for police protection, we received this year unexpectedly an additional $131,000. Public safety money from our speed camera for FY 2022. We expected 500,000. We actually brought in 760,135. So we have so many funding sources where this would not be any burden to our current city budget. And pretty much that's all I have for now. Open to any questions.
Thank you, Chief. The other thing to point out that the cars will put us from V8 to V6 flex fuel. working towards our green initiative, and I believe one of them is hybrid, correct, Chief?
Yes, ma'am. At least one is a hybrid. But, and one thing I didn't mention, because of the global chip shortage, and you may have seen where I've written it to city manager, mayor, and council in the past, that our focus still is on the net zero initiative, but the mandates that are in place, of course, didn't take in effect or into consideration that we're going to have a global-wide chip shortage. We even had production of the hybrids throughout the nation. They actually halted production. And from talking with other chiefs and finding out that cars ordered now won't be ready for delivery for at least a year later. So I want to jump on this quickly before we're at a point where we're without cars at all.
Thank you so much, Chief. I'm gonna open up the floor to council. Okay, we're gonna go Jamie, Luke, Jared. Okay. Jamie, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Chief, I really appreciate the need. I think, I mean, I need like something in writing exactly, you know, what the, you know, I mean, I know there was a plan, what the 5-year plan is, how, I mean, there was, in this year's budget, we didn't fund it. If there's extra money coming in, that's great, maybe we can fund it, but I think I need to see like you know, as soon as we can do it, like a plan of exactly, you know, how many cars over the, you know, this budget year, next budget year, and you know, where the money's coming from to do that. So I'd actually like to, you know, like to get something in front of me so we can kind of move ahead with it, you know, expeditiously. I haven't seen it. Maybe I missed the email, which kind of laid it out, but you know, definitely if you need the vehicles, we should move ahead with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Luke.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Jimmy, and I thought the city manager was going to work with Chief on what a plan would be. So I will probably have that by sometime soon here. Mr. Kamali, when do you think we'll have that plan by?
Well, I just received the plan. I requested this plan from Chief and he gave it to me today. So I need time to review the plan with finance team and then come back and make a recommendation to mayor and council. Right. And I understand that Chief needs those cars. We will, you know, expedite as much as we can, but I think we need to do the process, you know, go and, you know, review with the finance and how we're gonna come up with that, you know, fund that we needed and make a recommendation to mayor and council. Based on that, we can, you know, move forward.
Perfect. Would that be ready by the December legislative session? So in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, then I look forward to seeing that plan and recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Crowley. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, and I'll just echo that same that same point. It is a big budget ask, and it was not in our budget for this year. I need to have numbers, and I need to see what we're putting forth in front of me first. So I appreciate Chief and Mr. Kamali your action in this area for the next meeting. And actually, Chief, maybe this or Mr. Kamali. So like and apologies if I'm misunderstanding this, there's 5 cars that you want replaced, but if 2 of them were involved in accidents, I'm assuming there was legit payouts for both, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And that was what I mentioned earlier when I gave you the amounts as well. And
yeah, do those not incur? So I mean, is that would not necessarily be a new expenditure, or there might be some additional because the car is depreciated, but some of that money would actually come from existing the existing insurance payout. And then it does sound, and Mr. Kamali, this might be helpful for the discussion in December, is like if if we are making this adjustment, where do the funds come from? Because that, I mean, if there's, obviously public safety funds that are accessible only for that reason, that's one thing. If it's like general funds, that's another. If it's insurance payout that we can only use for buying a new car, obviously that's very different. So I think that all that would be really helpful to see in front for December. Thank you.
So I would say I will need to see that prior to December. The reason why I'm pushing this is because at this point, the earliest we could get even like talk about having those cars like being ordered is next year. And if they're a year out, you're talking about end of 2023, beginning of 2024 for these vehicles to be here in the city. So if these vehicles are over 170,000 miles as we speak, and this was a couple weeks back, right? These cars are not going to last very long. So we either decide to invest in these cars or start investing in repairs for the cars. Because my understanding is at least one of the cars have broken 3 different times. So we either decide to put the money up front for all the repairs we're going to have to do as we make up our mind, or B, start moving the process. Right now, it's a work session. So I will suggest Mr. Kamali, since Chief turned in the plan today, and we've seen more or less semi the other 2 plans or the plan itself. If you could give it to us by next week with a recommendation so that we could start thinking about it and put a budget proposal in front of us for the December 5th, the December meeting legislative, so that we could start moving forward to at least trying to allocate the fundings. Okay, so that way there's no delay in our end. So both things could be run parallel between the fire plan and for us to start working the process when it comes to like the budget amendment. Okay, because the budget amendment after the hearing, we also need to, from the approval, we also need to wait. Melissa said 2 weeks or 7 or 1 week for a hearing pass for budget amendment. How much days, how many weeks do we need to wait once it's approved to go for a hearing?
The 14 days is 14 to 45 days.
All right, so keep that in mind, because right now there is a big delay, and I have also spoken to other mayors about it, and some of them have already ordered the cars, and they're telling them it's going to be a year and a half for them to get them. We haven't even started the process. So this first meeting right here details some of the information that he puts forward. It also talks about some of the funding, so that way for the legislative meeting, Mr. Kamali should be able to give us a budget amendment for the amount that with his recommendation to go along with it, in order for us to at least do the first reading in the process to keep moving from there on. And we might have to do a special meeting to move forward with that beyond that. But now that he has the documents, we have 2 weeks to get this through. And Mr. Kamali, if you could submit it before the Thanksgiving break, so we could review it, and that was on the deck for the December meeting. It definitely will help all of us to try to get the efforts across. Okay.
I just want to say something, Mayor, here, because you're asking me to do this one by next week. Right now, Ron Wilson, the finance, and I are involved in FOP negotiation, and it's very tight meetings every day. And we have another one tomorrow. So I will have everything ready by December for the discussion, if you guys don't mind. Because I'm not going to promise something by next week. We need to look at the plan. We look at the budget and see the actual cost for FY23, and then we can make the recommendation for if we could use the budget amendment, or we make our recommendation by the time that is required. For the next meeting, I definitely have it, but I try to get it before that, definitely, a few days before you guys can review it, and we can have it, on that time. I do my best, but I just, want to let you know that right now we're involved in that issue, and I just need more time, please.
So can you do it, please, the Wednesday before, so we have enough time as a council to review everything? That's what I will need, the Wednesday before the meeting. That will work. So it gives us enough time, so that way, one, it gives Melissa enough to put in the agenda and put in the package for Friday. Okay, so that should give you an extra week right there. Okay.
Yeah, as long as yeah, go ahead.
I just have a point of order. So the Wednesday before the meeting would be
30th.
The 30th, okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because
Perfect.
Melissa has to put it in the package by the Friday. So if we get it by Friday, it's gonna be too late for us to review it and the package be sent to the public, right? So that's what I'm trying to make sure. We're trying to stick to the rules as much as we can. So that would give enough time. All right, thank you so much. Anything you guys need to add on this, or you guys are good?
Oh, good.
Okay, I'm seeing you guys are
Sorry.
good. Thank you. No, it's late, guys. This is one of the latest meetings we have. We're enduring. All right, Melissa, this is you. Presentation of minutes. The city clerk will present the following minutes. To Mayor and Council, May 4, 2021, legislative meeting, November 1st, 2022, legislative meeting. Melissa, you would like any additions by what? By next week, ideally? Or by the
Yes,
3rd?
by next Friday.
By Thanksgiving, Melissa? But
The day after
Council-
Thanksgiving.
all right, so can I know? Sure, Melissa. So Council by Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, by latest Monday, please submit any additions you have for Melissa, so that way she could make any additions, changes, show it to us, and she could submit it in the package as well. Okay? Good. And Melissa wanted me to make sure to let you guys know that she's very happy to hear that she's so accurate, and she hopes you all reading your minutes at night, at least to all of our relatives. Melissa's like, yes. All right, perfect. Thank you, Melissa. I told him Melissa in public, so don't go after me. All right, item number 16, adjournment. Council.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
So much hesitation. Any discussion?
Nope.
Any abstentions? Did somebody say something? I will just say one thing to our residents this Friday, November 18. It's our Thanksgiving food distribution. Tonight, the explorers and various community volunteers came together to start working on putting the baskets together. We're gonna be there tomorrow from 4 and on. The idea is to finish all the baskets between today and tomorrow, so that way the final frozen items, the turkey ham and the different vegetables, are gonna be completed on Friday. Mount Rainier, Thomas Stone, Rainier Manor, and Cesar Chavez Elementary, all of them have submitted a list, and we're also working with other groups in the community, and also residents have submitted their names on it. So we still have time for you to submit your name. If you're not sure, just reach out to me. Happy to help you, or call the city. They'll add you to the list, and please pick it up between 12 p.m. noon to 6 p.m. and it is going to be cold. So we appreciate you guys coming and picking up those turkeys or hams as soon as possible, because our team is going to be there starting at 5 a.m. to receive the different items, the frozen items for the Friday. So I know, Melissa, you put it here. City Hall will be closed on November 24. Employee Appreciation Day is November 25th. The city will be closed. Breakfast with Santa, December 10. Holiday Family Irish, December 10. Family Holiday Distribution, December 16. And the Parade of Lights with the cider stations is December 18. Oh, Christmas, December 26th. December 26th, city offices will be closed. Really, the 26th? The city offices will be closed. We might have to do an early dismissal on the 25th as well. We'll discuss that. All right. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Luke, and the various volunteers for coming on Saturday to do the cleanup on the south side of the city. Thank you guys for your effort. And I'm sure Luke will have a big thank you list like on the legislative session. And thank you for holding on. All right. So any objections, abstentions? The meeting is coming officially to an end at 10:25. Thank you, staff and community members, for everybody that stay here tonight. Thank you guys so much. And team, thank you for making sure we do the great things that we're doing. Okay. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.